Nobody Named Kevin podcast, episode 13. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Anyone here in the room named Kevin?
Nope.
Refuse to be named that.
All right.
I'm glad we met you after the name change.
Me too.
What if that's the real story? He's been named Kevin before and just never told us and lied to us his whole life about it.
Dedicated.
I mean, I wouldn't pick Schwinn. But also, you didn't pick Schwinn. We deemed it.
Oh,
Yeah.
Dude, that's the thing with nicknames. It's never something you want. It's always something stupid. Like, I got Wagonite. He got Schwinn. I don't know if Devin had any names, but I want to know if he did. Like old D-Man over there.
Because what fits Devin as a nickname? You know what I mean? Like,
It's already pretty short.
it's already like it's just short enough. Like you could say Dev. That's just kind of like I've been called Dev, but it's kind of lazy.
So you don't look at it as a nickname, you just look at them trying to save themselves syllables.
Yeah, Dev. Hey, Dev. Oh.
Yeah,
I don't know. Wagonite, you have one of those names you can just do that with. You know, like Wagonite, Wags. I don't know. Like you just you can do a lot of different things with that.
I mean,
we definitely did a lot of different things with that.
Yeah, y'all did run rampant with all of those.
And honestly, my nickname, like as I was younger when I received it, okay, maybe not as happy about it. But now, older, I would rather be called Q or Schwinn. Like, I do not like saying my actual name. It just sounds weird.
It's because they
when other people call me,
it.
It is weird that like it is so common and it's stuck. Schwinn.
Dude, I'm kind of. I'm the same way in the fact that I hate hearing my actual first name. Like when anyone says it, I hate it. I'd rather be called by my last name than my first name.
It's that
I say your
mentality.
first name. I mean, I say your first name sometimes. Usually I'm like Wags, Wagonite.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there's always a lot of weird ones.
Swaggener.
Yeah, there's so many variations. So like my name doesn't have that. When I worked at the shop, they were like giving me crap. Well, I started talking back. So they dubbed me Lippy because I'd always mouth off back. But it has nothing to do with my name. They just those were shop nicknames. Like one of the guys, he always would put things in his pockets and he'd lose it. And they're like, they call them pockets. Like, go check your pockets because he'd always put them in his pockets. So they call them pockets. I can't remember the other one.
Dude, the old shop nicknames are always so dumb. Like, the only one that I liked that was funny, but it's one that's, like, always used is when they get a new guy in the shop and they call him Puppy. Like, they did that with they did it to one of our friends. I mean, I never got one, but, like, dude, most shop nicknames suck. It's always, like, some 60-year-old man who feels like he needs to make everyone feel like he's part of the team. So they come up with some stupid nickname that doesn't make any sense, and you're just like, I guess this is what I'm stuck with now.
Well, it's because it was funny to them like 45 years ago when they were useful, and they haven't thought of anything since. And they're like, this still works, right? And you're like, no, but whatever.
Dude,
I mean, I hate being here, but sure. I'm not wrong.
You're not.
Okay, like, I wouldn't go as far as say it's like when they were useful. They're still working in a factory or a warehouse and like producing a product.
Lippy's still bitter, okay?
That doesn't make you useful. You're like 65. Okay.
Dude, you're going to make Lippy mad.
Dude, like, I see like 60-year-old dudes like hit on waitresses. Does that make them youthful or does that make them perverts?
Oh, youthful, bro. I thought you said
what do you think I said?
Useful
as well.
Human being. I was like,
yeah,
dude, I don't know if I'd go that far.
Dude, that's what I thought he said. I was like coming out the gate swinging.
I was like, dang.
No,
dude.
I said youthful.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't like
useful.
You're useless.
Yeah, that's what I thought you meant. I was like, dang, dude.
I was like, dude, well, there goes the old market for the podcast.
Useful. I was like, dang.
Oh Jesus! But
we did have a super old guy who worked like 2 days a week, and like I was usually assigned with washing his car, and it was never right. I'm like, okay,
wait,
I understand.
You worked at a shop and they made you wash cars?
His personal car?
Yeah, that was downtime. Yeah, it was like the downtime. You had your company trucks, right? Your company vehicles. They assigned to me with washing his, which most of them, whatever, it's easy. It's like you just spray it down, whatever. His was never right. I'm like, okay.
Okay, what was the complaints? What were you doing wrong?
It's an old guy, dude. Nothing is right. It doesn't matter if you do it how they told you to do it. It's wrong because you're not him. It's that old guy mentality. It's just wrong. Okay.
It's too clean.
Thanks, man. Yeah. Put some dirt on there. And then re-wash the dirt off. It's just that old guy mentality of like, it's okay.
Yeah, if you don't do it their way, it's wrong. If you do it their way, they don't believe you did it their way.
Dude, it's like when we worked at the restaurant and our supervisor had to always touch the food. He always had to replate it. If it was busy, that's what he did. He would replate it. It's like, dude, it looks good. Trust me, we know what we're doing. It's just he had to put his hands on it. Like, all right, whatever, man. I get it. It's your business. I'm not gonna get in the way of you. Man. Brisket was never thin enough. Remember, I don't know if you remember when we were slammed and we were arguing about how thin I made it as thin as I could, and it still was a problem. All right, whatever.
Dude,
you know what I mean? It's the old guy mentality.
I always think about going to restaurants, like, especially right after that time period, like, does an old man or someone just sit in the back and, like, even after the food's made, still just have to, like, pat it down before it comes to me, like, with no gloves, like, they just pat it down and, like, all right, it looks good. I'm like, why does that happen?
Dude, one thing I have never cared about at a restaurant is how my food is plated, as long as it's not like if I go to a Mexican restaurant, like, obviously I don't want my rice thrown all in, like, the refried beans and stuff like that. Like, I get that, but, like, dude, you throw it on the plate, I'm good. I'm not going to make a stink over the fact that too much of the beans is touching my enchilada. Like, I don't get that.
Here's why it's more important now. Well, they always say presentation is key, because there are lots of people, more often than not women, it has to look good. You know what I mean? Certain things can't be touching, right? But it also with, how people Instagram everything, they Snapchat their food, they Facebook their food. They want it to look good, so when it gets shared, it looks menu worthy or share worthy. Now, what you maybe remind me of when you're like, don't throw the lettuce. I saw this video the other day at McDonald's. It's when a customer orders like 2 minutes before close. He got the mayo gun and he did like 6 pumps. So the bottom bun was swimming in mayo and it was all over the box. He pulls a chicken patty out the drawer, slams it on there so the mayo kind of busts everywhere, slaps the lettuce, slaps the cheese is half of the cheese is hanging outside of the box, and he just closes it. There's cheese hanging out of the box and mayo dripping from it, just slides it away. As funny as it was, I'm like, that was so unnecessary, dude. That's not like, it's not the customer's fault to that extent. It's a 99-cent chicken sandwich, dude. It takes 5 seconds to make.
Bro, I don't know about that, dog. You come in, like, you go into any place last minute and you expect good service. Sorry, you are dead wrong.
I get that.
Understand, you are in the wrong. If my food comes, like, if it's, I won't order that close to close. If they're close to close and they let me know, I'll leave. I'm not going to keep you hostage here. Like, I don't want to be at work that long. I wouldn't do that to someone else. And I don't know if that's because I work in retail. Like, yeah, like that video I sent y'all. Like, bro, this isn't an NBA game. We don't play till the buzzer. It comes to 10 minutes till you don't come in. Like, I don't care if you need a phone immediately. Better go to Walmart and figure it out.
Here's the thing. With our transactions, they can take 30 to 45 minutes. So I get that, right? With an actual sit-down restaurant, yeah, you come in 5 minutes before close at the places that you know it takes 15 to 20 minutes to cook. You're going to take 10 to 20 minutes to eat, and you're going to sit there. I get that. My thing is, I'm like, bro, it's a McDonald's drive-thru. The person is literally swinging through.
No. Here's the thing you're not keeping in mind. They have to clean those grills. So, like, they could have had it clean, ready to go, ready to do all that. This customer came through. Now they've got to restart everything, and then they got to do the whole cleaning process again.
Oh, wait, I want to ask,
I've been there.
What McDonald's closes?
I mean, with COVID happening, like, quite a few have started closing early and not doing 24
I think they
hours.
I think they do have adjusted hours. Yeah, I don't know if they're 24 hours anymore.
Same thing with, like,
or maybe they just started back.
Like, I'm pretty sure, like, the Walmart in my area is not 24 hours anymore.
None
either,
of them are. None of them are, and it sucks, dude. No, it sucks. I miss late night runs to Walmart when I'm like, I thought of something I should get, or like everyone else does, the midnight stroll around Walmart when it's like a lot emptier, and there's a few other people doing the midnight stroll.
So, like, here's my argument to it, and there's because I had this discussion with my girlfriend of it, dude. I'm one of those people, like, dude, I hate that people have to work overnight. Like, I get that it gives you a job, but, dude, no. Like, I hate that so much. Like, if I go into any place that late, like, I'm in and out. I want to have a conversation. You don't want to have a conversation with me. Let's both pretend we never saw each other. Like, I always feel bad because I'm like, I'm the reason you're here right now. I feel horrible about it.
Dude, not at all, bro. You should not feel bad because it's not like these jobs are being forced upon people or something. Like, people are going to do these jobs and they're getting paid for it. And some people really do prefer the night shift or like can stay awake better at night and just like to do that.
I don't disagree with you there that some people, like, that's what they sign on for. That's what they enjoy. That's fine. But how many times have you worked a place and your shift gets switched and now you're forced to do that because of some other employee? You don't want to be there. It's stupid. That's who I think about when I do it. I don't think about the people who are like the people stocking the shelves or like cleaning the house. I'm like, yeah, you probably don't even care you're here. Like, you're just doing something. It's chill. No one's here. You don't care.
I mean, I guess I see what you're saying to an extent. I've never experienced like a whole overnight shift. The closest I would get is like when I worked at one of the grocery stores in Waco. They would I would like sometimes my shifts could be like 6 a.m. to like 2 p.m. or like 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. But like you said, people would call in and get switched. And they did call me and be like, hey, don't come in till like, 4 or 5, but then I'd have to stay till 2. Like, that would kind of suck sometimes. But, I mean, still, it's also your job. That can happen at any job if, if you apply and they're like, hey, you have to be available these hours to these hours because we can call you in.
Dude, no. So, like, that's my same argument with, like, the industry that we're in. Like, I have a day off. Don't call me. Don't text me. I don't care. I don't care if you're having a problem. I'm not coming in. It's my day off.
That bothers me so much.
Yeah, I'm one of those people. I don't care whether I said I was available that day. You know what? So what if I typically am? I don't care if I have nothing planned that day. I'm not coming in for you. That is my day off. Like,
I feel like that causes so many problems. Like, if people just like, I don't know if people would come in and there was an issue, it would just, I would think it would just balance itself back out. But when it's just like so much butting heads with stuff.
Oh, like, dude. You don't want me there if you're calling me in. Because you know what I'm going to do? Nothing. And the way I see it is I'm just a body. Like, I'm here to do one thing. I am not here to help the store or anything like that. I'm here to make you feel comfortable. The person I work with, sorry, you are taking everyone. I am not helping anyone. Have a nice day.
Honestly, to me, unless you specifically said, like, say it's like a Tuesday, and you specifically, when you got the job, was like, hey, I cannot work Tuesdays for some reason, and they try to call you in and they made you work, then I'd understand. But if you were like, I'm available all these days, and you're off one, and they're like, hey, we're going to swap you for another one, that's on you, dude. Like, it's your job.
Here's my side argument. That's fine, but when you give me that schedule, I make plans. You're not going to interrupt my plans because someone else doesn't want to work or can't work. That's not my problem. Like, yes, I'm typically available that day. If I'm given notice, you didn't give me notice.
Well, yeah, you're supposed to receive like a notice. I'm not saying like right then and there, but it does happen both ways. I understand that.
No,
that can be frustrating.
The people I've worked with have learned you do not call me on my days off unless it's an emergency. And if you like, I've straight up told everyone there, if you call me asking me dumb things when I'm off work or just trying to have a conversation, I will no longer answer my phone for you.
My God, dude. I wasn't even like anything, and I would still answer my coworkers' calls and be like, "What's up? You need help with something?" Dude, that's your like.
Here's my thing. Hold on. Here's my thing. My thing is, don't call me for stupid things. If you know the answer and you call me, we're gonna have problems. If I know I've shown you this 3 times over and you're calling me again about this, we're gonna have issues. So at a certain point, it's sink or swim. And if you're going to keep calling me for stuff like that, I'm not going to enable you to not learn how to do the job properly. Sorry, figure it out on your own. So my thing is, you don't call me unless it's something important. If it's something important, like I've been called when the drawer was over and they couldn't figure out how to balance out the drawer, and I had to talk them through how to balance out the drawer so it would be properly without any issues. I don't have a problem with that. If you call me because, dude, you'll never believe this customer that came in, I don't care. I can learn that information tomorrow when I come in. Don't call me on my day off for stupid stuff. That's my thing. Yeah. Like, if you call me over something important, I'll answer the phone. But if you call me for dumb stuff, your call will no longer get answered.
Yeah. I see what you're saying.
It's also a you thing, though. It's also a you thing about how you're like, don't make any new friends. Or like, I don't like any of you. I want to clock in and I want to go home. Like, that's more of a you thing.
It's not that I just like want to punch the time card or anything. It's like, dude, if I'm not at work right now, I am doing something else. I am away for work. Like, I need time to decompress. And if you call me talking about work or asking me questions about work, it puts me in that mental work mindset where I'm locked in and that's all I can think about, and then my mind starts racing. Like, when I'm off work, I am trying to decompress and forget that I even work there. I don't even want to know that place exists when I'm not there.
See, and that's just so weird to me because I haven't had a job like that in 5 years now. Actually, 6 or 7 years. Like, I forgot what that's like. The last time I had a job like that was probably the shop or Starbucks. Like, the shift is over, shift is over. You know what I mean? Like, it was just like, go home, live your life. Like, and even at the shop, it was like, yeah, go home, live your life. You know what I mean? Like, and if we had something coming up of like, hey, we're going to have to come in for a Saturday morning, it was Monday you'd find out. At the latest, maybe Wednesday. And I think we only did that maybe once. Mm-hmm. And I don't even think it was a Saturday, if I recall correctly. It was a night shift day. It was like, hey, you're going to do this and you're going to work through the night to the next day, but then you're going to be off the next day. It always balanced out. But other than that, it was just like 5 o'clock, you know, the guys were headed to the gas station to grab their beer on the way home. I was just headed home or to the gym to meet up with you, Schwinn. That was about it. Like, I didn't even think about it. Like, I forgot what having a job like that.
So, like, my thing with it is, too, because the other thing that ends up happening is people let that work life invade their home. I'm not. When I get home, I don't care about work. Like, I'm done with work. If I need to talk about something that happened after work, I will call someone that I know that's in the industry. Sometimes it's Devin, sometimes it's someone else. We'll talk. When I get in my driveway, we'll chat for a little bit. We'll round out the conversation. We drop it. I leave it there. I come back inside. I leave it alone. Once I am at home, I no longer, I don't focus on work anymore. Like, if you ask me questions, that's fine, but I try to stay out of the work mindset because I do not want that invading my home life. Because, I have a good time at home. I don't always have the best time at work, and the moment that work starts going bad and I start bringing that home, that's going to follow me, and I'm not going to be able to escape that job. And it's just going to make me, just depressed on the inside. I'm going to be mad at everything. It just changes my home life too much. I can't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's always important to learn how to leave certain things in the door. I mean, no matter what you're doing, because I don't know. I've always taken, for the past 5 years, I've taken work home with me because I've had a large goal in mind. But I think also what's important too is like being able to turn it off, because like there's a saying when you're going into the gym. I remember Chris Jones would always motivate me by saying this. He'd be like, before you go in the gym, get your mind right. Mm-hmm. And that is so true. It's like, before you go in the gym, either get hyped or drop whatever you're worried about so you can focus on that, you know? And that's the same thing with skating. Like, you can't think about something else while you're skating. Mm-hmm. It literally, you can't. You will miss everything, and you're just going to be more frustrated. And it's never been a problem for me, or anytime I have thought about stuff, it's been a bad session. But, like, that's all you can think about right there. You have to leave it at that door, and then, like, you can resume it at a different door. Mm-hmm. Like, finding those doors, you know, and even if like you're in a relationship too, you know what I mean? Like, you know, maybe you had a disagreement with one of your friends, one of your bros. You can't go to your girl and take it out on her. You got to leave it at that door and like be with your girl. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Sure, you'll probably vent about it, but it's like, it's better to leave it there. You know what I mean? Because you don't want that turning into something else, because you don't want gossip to linger, and then you don't want like, you know, your girl to be like, oh, so we don't like him anymore? You're like, no. I'm just mad right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's with anyone, even if it's not your girl. Like, even if you're on the girl side and you do that, it's the same thing. Like, everything you say slowly warps that person's perception of that other person. Because, like, you may tell one or two funny stories about, hey, I had a great time at work, but you're not hearing about the mediocre days where y'all had a good time, but it wasn't anything stand out. So she's hearing a couple of the highs, and then it's all lows, because you don't come home and really talk about the great moments at work. Like, it's cool, but you drop it pretty quick. But if you go on a tirade about being, like, upset as something, that becomes their mindset. Like, slowly warps perception. It's the same thing. Like, if I have a problem with one of y'all, I address it with y'all, but luckily we haven't had any issues.
The other thing is, too, like, the other thing about if you're not in a relationship with someone who's in a similar field or has been in your field, it is a pointless conversation.
Yeah, it's hard to relate.
It's like, you're like, I am using so much jargon and so many systems that you know nothing about, that this is a pointless conversation. And it's vice versa too. It's not, I'm not just saying like it's a man thing. Like, if she is telling me her bad day at her job that is completely different, I'm like, I get workplace drama, but that's about it. If you're like, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, she took my parking spot and she used the scissors that I was going to use, but she told me it wasn't. You're like, I don't really get that. I can kind of relate, but
yeah,
no, kind of zoned out.
That's kind of how it is. That's how it is with me and my girl. She'll tell me about something that happens, and you're like, they didn't do this for dunnage. They were supposed to have this many bulkheads, and it's like, someone's not doing their job right. We hate that person. I was like, I know what that's like, but I'm like, I don't know why it's like a huge deal. Like, I don't know the headache that it causes, nor can I really understand the headache. But I'm like, someone's not doing their job right. Like, I can relate to that. Like, I understand, but I can't get into the nitty gritty enough to where it's going to be like satisfying for you. You know what I mean?
The best
like, there's
thing
one thing to complain to work about, like someone that's in that industry, because they can sympathize and they can egg on too, and it feels good once you're done. Whereas, like, if they know nothing about it, you walk away just like wanting more. You're like, it wasn't enough. Like, I'm still upset, and it's been 30 minutes.
Well, the best thing to do is like to throw them open-ended, or not open-ended questions necessarily, but just to feed them topics. Like, when they're talking about their job, you're like, do we hate that person? Like, well, yeah, we hate her because da da da. You'll be like, you know, oh yeah, you should say something to her tomorrow. You know what? I will say, just kind of start feeding them. Be like, yeah, you know what I mean? Just to see where the convo goes. You know, or when they start talking about their friends too, like, wait, do we hate that person? Like, no, we don't hate her. She was over at your birthday party. Remember the one that was wearing this? And you're like, no. But you're like, yeah, oh, yeah.
Let's see, mine's never that bad. I will do things like you're saying, like, okay, like, do we hate that person? Like, where you give them subtle advice, but you're more just helping them talk through their thoughts as to, like, what the best resolution is. Like, I agree with that. I don't have the problem of, like, do we hate that friend? No, I know where we sit with all the friends. I know who are cool. I know the flaws of the friends. and I know the reasons why we like them as well. So it's like, it's one of those things, like the good and the bad. Same thing with like our friend group. I think the only one that she doesn't have any sort of beef with whatsoever and that she just finds adorable is Quentin. I'm like, whew, thank God I jumped on that train before he could. Like, I might be screwed. It's because you're so damn nice. Like, she doesn't get to see the dark side. Like, you hide it. I know it's there, but you're like the kid that, like, they're like, he could never hurt a fly.
Hey,
I've seen him hurt. I've specifically seen him hurt.
I was gonna say,
he used to punch spiders.
Like, I don't disagree with that, but that was just like the phrase that I would use. It's like, yeah, he's just that kind of person. He's just a really nice guy.
He wouldn't hurt a rabbit.
Dude.
You know, like he wouldn't like kick a rabbit or choke it.
There is part of me that feels like there's some demons there that we don't get to see. Like, this is the guy that, like, his posters come down, there's giant holes in the wall and stuff like that. But you never notice because he always gets the posters just right to cover it up. Like, I know there's some inner demons in there.
Yeah.
I was about to say, I mean, like, that's kind of like awkwardly accurate, but I was going to say, this like,
dude, that was a shot in the dark. I had no idea. I'm good.
No.
Yeah,
there's like some, like, you know, you start, I was going to start thinking more of like, you know, you pick up a couple of stuffed animals. There's like a fleshlight in the back of them, stuff like that.
I don't think he's that weird yet.
No, I wouldn't let anyone's kids even come in my room at that point. Like, that would be a danger.
Yeah, that's why you don't let him into the closet.
Kids, like it's just you're like, no, kids, it's just another little mouse. A little mouse. That's all it is. Don't worry, you can feed it.
It's like
Put
a man.
stuff in it.
Yeah, it's
fill
like
it up with leaves.
Yeah, put your crayons in it, kids.
But no, I mean, other than that, like, I mean, there's flaws with anyone you meet, though. That's the thing. Like, even with friend groups, like, you learn each other's flaws and stuff like that. But you accept it. You're like, yeah, but I'm friends with them because of the good side and what they do for me. Like, they do a lot for me. I like to think that I provide the same to them.
Yeah, I mean, I would also say sometimes you, like, where other people see flaw, you might see something that, I mean, even if it's not a good thing, but it might just be something that you embrace as a person.
Oh, dude.
You know, like between friends, you know, like even if it's something stupid or something, maybe not a considered good thing by most people, someone else, you know.
Well, I also think when you get to a certain point in the friendship, you overlook those flaws. Like, you acknowledge that they're there. Like, for me, example, like, I feel like Quentin and Devin y'all both acknowledge that I'm a very blunt person, and y'all don't let me offend y'all. Like, I know I've said some ruthless stuff to y'all, but you're like, yeah, that's Clayton, though. Like, y'all just let it, like, y'all just gloss over it, and it doesn't even register. Like, the one podcast where I jumped down his throat, and he's like, I didn't even realize you did that. It's like, you kind of tend to start overlooking those flaws.
I'm still laughing about the birthday party thing. I'm still bringing it up. Like, every time I see Devin, when you're like, yeah, I'm off, but I'm not going to a kid's birthday party.
My thing is, though,
but
Devin's just like, no, I get that. Like, I feel like Devin genuinely gets it. I don't think of it as like a rude thing, and I feel like Devin doesn't think of it as weird either.
Here's the thing, like,
people, like,
I mean, sure, it's like you could say it's a Clayton thing, but also it's like that's just a perspective I hold too. Of like, he literally is just being honest with you. Mm-hmm. Hey, I'm not coming. Okay.
Yeah.
Why should I get mad at that? Because people are like, but you're not supposed to say that. No, shut up. Shut up. What does everybody want? I want somebody who's honest with me. As soon as somebody's honest with you, you're like, well, not like that. It's like,
he only wants you to say, like, I'm not coming.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, like, so,
be my honest.
Like,
be my honest.
Yeah.
Yeah. My thing is, like, with that, like, dude, there are sometimes, like, I was a little ruthless to Devin's kid. I'm like, all right, I'll interact more. I interacted more last Saturday when we all hung out. I'm still not a kid person. Like, at the end of the day, my only interest in him is the interest in Devin and hoping, like, yeah, I hope you make a good kid, man. Like, other than that, my interest is, like, it's a kid, man. Like, I don't like y'all see all these cool things, but to me, I'm just like, it's a kid. Like his first steps, sure, that's a big moment for most parents. For me, it's like, dude, I know how to walk. Everyone else knows how to walk. Like, are we applauding that he's on the right track? Like, why are we so happy about this? Are you happy to find out like your kid's not completely dumb? Like he can figure some things out? Like that is hard for me to understand. But I'm like, all right, I will try.
Dude, and here's the thing. Again, people are like, oh, you're supposed to do this, you're supposed to do that. I'm like, what do you mean supposed to? Like, I just don't interact with y'all's animals. Anytime they get on me, I just slowly push them away. I don't like them on me. That's fine. I'm just not an animal person.
I will say,
I don't expect you to, bro. I feel bad. I'm like trying to move it away. I'm like, get it off of him. Like, yeah.
Dude, no. So like you say that, but the only one I think you're like chill with is my cat. He'll like prop up, lay on your side, and you're like, all right, you stay there, I'll stay here, we're good.
Keeps his distance.
It's yeah, I was gonna say it's a mutual like swap. Dogs are like, you're like, okay, I get it. You're breathing. I'm breathing at a fifth of the volume. Like, calm yourself, God. It's like not that cool.
It's still,
you know what I mean?
It blows my mind that at one point you wanted a corgi, but you're like that with animals.
And here's the thing. Here's why everyone asks me, get a corgi. I know you love them. People still to this day send me photos. Anytime I see a corgi, they send me a photo of it because they know I love them. I have come to terms that I like the idea of a corgi more than a corgi. And I'm okay with that. I've come to terms with that I'm like, you know what? Don't really want to deal with a dog at this point in my life. Don't really want the I'm just like, I think they're adorable. I think they're awesome. It's just not my thing.
And especially you don't want to get a corgi of all dogs. Like they got health issues and they're expensive. Bad choice. Like if you're gonna get one anyways, not worth
actually
it.
I think it's a top tier choice for aesthetic purposes.
Well, aesthetic purposes alone, yeah.
And here's the problem, dude. Yeah, here's the problem is that like it's like, you know, everybody has a corgi. You know, you don't want to look like you want to look like a copycat. Alex Becker got a corgi, and I'm like, cool. Now if I do that, I look like a freaking Alex Becker tryhard. I'm like, I don't want to get a corgi now. It's lame now. I got to like give it a few years. Like yeah. I can't now.
You're gonna get a corgi and like sell all your furniture and just sit in the middle of your living room on like a really expensive computer.
I have a standing desk. I'm like, I already look like it enough. I should definitely not. Exactly. I'm like, how could I look more like a fangirl? I'm like, I don't want a corgi. You know what I mean? Yeah. You know,
dude, I'm surprised there's not a corgi coin, dude. I don't know if you've heard about the Shiba Inu coin, but it went up a whole bunch, but then it's dropping with Doge now.
But Doge is a Shiba Inu.
Well, there's a new coin called Shiba Inu, and it's like
talking about
I noticed on crypto.
Are we talking about the coin that is clearly just trying to make a quick buck and hype it after Doge?
Yeah,
every coin.
It's just annoying, bro. Like I look at it and I'm just like, oh my god. I'm like, if you're playing it short term, just trying to make some gains, win the hype, like cool. Think it's risky, couldn't be me. But like I think the same thing about Doge, right? Like everyone got hyped up about Doge. Like I don't care about Doge. I don't think it's a realistic coin unless they make a bunch of changes. And I think Shiba's trying to just ride off the hype of it. I think it's just a scam coin.
I think that's most coins. It's not. I'd say like 80%.
Most coins right now are scam coins. Like, and that's human nature. Like this is the .com boom. This is literally just the whole thing repeated. Like it's all gonna blow. There's gonna be a few actual survivors. It's human nature.
Well,
human nature. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just wanting to say, Wagonite, you were correct, sir.
And
we will rise again. Yes, but I should have sold like the night before SNL aired. Like that Friday night, I was at my peak. And then I was like, I'm just going to wait. And dude, just the longer I waited. And that next morning, it was all gone.
I saw that and I was just laughing.
I'm stuck for a long time. But I was like, if I would have, it was like like 8:30, 9:30 on Friday night, I think, was when I was the highest. At least that was when I checked it was the highest. And I was like, I should have just sold. So, I should have just like racked it in, stopped being greedy, and just taken my gains that I had. That's my problem.
The best advice I can give you, and it's same thing for stock trading, and someone who does stock trading like told me about it. If you pick a strategy, stick to it. When you start losing money is when you when you divert from your strategy. My strategy is when I go up, I take out. I don't look at how high it went. That doesn't bother me. I look to my next thing. You're not ever going to grab it at the perfect peak, and if you do, it's very, very rare. So, like, if your strategy is, I want to pick a coin, I want to hold it, do that. Be okay that that's your strategy. Like, if you really do think Doge is the future, don't care about the short and long-term games, stop looking at it. Throw what you want into it, find other coins that you want to throw into it, and accept that you're going long-term. Stop trying to pull money out, leave it. You got to gamble with money you're willing to lose. Who cares if you lost it? It's in there. Like, don't gamble more than you can afford to lose.
So my portfolio was at its best when I did that. Because at the beginning, when we first got into it, I just wouldn't sell. I would just, when I saw a coin I liked, I would just start very little, like small amounts in that and just build it up. And my portfolio was at its best when I had it was stretched across 5 to 7 different coins. But still kind of decent. But then I got super into Decentraland that one time, dude, and I just lost everything.
My thing is,
and I started trying to focus in on one or two, and it's just not good.
Put money in ones. Be willing to accept it. Like, I'm pretty sure Devin's one of the people he's not in and out, in and out, in and out. I'm in and out, in and out, in and out, and then you seem to be kind of caught in the middle. It's like I want to be in and out, but it's not working out for me. But when it was working out, it was long-term. Like, play the long-term game. Dude, right now, if I had not pulled my money out of Ethereum, it would have doubled. Do you think I care about that? No. All right? I'm out. Whatever. I've got to be okay with it. I took my gains.
Just cope with it.
Yeah, I took my gains. It's not like It's not like I lost everything. Could it have been a better investment? Yes, but dude, at least I made something off of it, right?
We need to start. We need to start a cope coin. So whether it goes up or down, you cope either way. You can just well, I mean, I would have sold it anyway. But here's a good idea. Here's all I follow. Cope coin, new scam on the market. Here's all I follow. Warren Buffett's advice. Rule number 1: don't lose money. Rule number 2: refer to rule number 1. That's it. It's not hard.
All right.
It's not hard. Just don't do it. Just don't do it. But human nature. Here's what I was saying about the .com boom and the crypto boom right now. Human nature, okay? It's not going to change. It's never going to change, okay? A gas line got hacked, and the nation went crazy because the news said that there might be a shortage. So what happened? This is exactly the toilet paper thing that happened last year. People caused the shortage. There was some gas prices at $10. And then there's some gas stations, they're people are taking photos of their signs. Some gas stations had up must show proof of work to get gas because they don't want the unemployed people who don't need the gas getting all the gas.
Isn't that only along the East Coast? I don't think it's reached because it's the pipeline from Houston. So it's not on this side yet.
Here's the
central
thing, though.
Midwest.
Any sort of shortage is going to cause a rise in gas prices all the way around just by the simple fact of we don't know how long it's going to be shorted. How much gas can we take from our other places? I think so the U.S. itself, we have a stockpile of gas, oil, and stuff like that. I think that I can't remember what administration it started under, but we have those stockpiled. So we can deal with a short-term shortage like this, but the biggest priority right now, is there going to be a shortage? Maybe, but it's going to be caused by people. No. It's not going to be caused because the pipeline's actually shut. It's never the actual reason that they think it is. It's because everyone starts panicking.
It's a couple things, bro. I mean, you're right. It is the people. They overconsume and panic about it. But like you said, dude, we have reserves upon reserve. In America, and especially in Alaska, we got a lot of oil.
I'm not, for the elite.
No.
For when the elites need gas.
I'm not even. I'm not
Think
even
about all the
talking about
shortages we've
like
had in the past.
I'm not talking about like actual oil reserves in the ground. I'm talking like there are bunkers in which the U.S. has filled with oil and stuff like that for in case of shortages and stuff like that. Just in case something happens, they have those for that.
It.
That's what I mean. I don't mean like the actual reserves that are in our earth. Like,
okay. Well, still, dude. Either way, I know. I mean, just because we've had, dude, even when we were in high school, like 8 years ago, 9 years ago, gas was like up to like $3 or more in a gallon. Or it got pretty up there, and now everyone's like, "Oh, it's so high." Like, it's been low for a long time. It's been pretty low. It fluctuates. There was a shortage in like the 70s or 80s or something. There's always shortages. But like you said, it's just because how people behave.
There used to be like regimented like gas days. You could only get gas on like a day that I think it was like evens and odds on your plates. So if you had a plate and an odd number, you could come on these days. If you had a plate with an even number, you could only come in these days.
So I've heard two things about that pipeline. One, apparently, so it's like, I guess, a conspiracy theory, but that Biden shut it down due like to environmentally friendly stuff. But apparently Warren Buffett was involved in helping persuade him shut it down.
Here we
because
go.
He is.
I don't know. I just wanted to throw it out there.
Here we go. No, you don't understand. No. Devin's about to jump in full force, buy your conspiracy with no fact at all. Here we go.
Here's the thing. Stop thinking you need facts to argue. This is what these logical people want you to believe. It's also part of the agenda of against conspiracy theory. Because what facts can you use? Because they're going to say their facts are right and your facts are made up, when all facts are made up, right? Here's the thing. They got hacked. The pipeline got hacked. I don't think Warren Buffett had anything to do with it. He's more worried about his McMuffins and his Coca-Cola. He gets a McMuffin every morning, okay? So maybe that's the secret to success. But he's not losing money. If he has money in oil, he's not losing money, just regardless of a cyber attack. Maybe he made more money because people were buying it like crazy. The price is going up. But the other thing is, and this is going to sound kind of aloof, but I haven't looked at gas prices in 3 or 4 years.
I don't pay attention.
Here's the problem. Some people are like, oh, you can pay for it like that. No, I need the gas either way. What is me looking at the price going to change? I was like, oh, well, you can drive 3 towns over and save 3 cents. You lost that money on the drive. Genius. You lost the money on the drive. What are we talking about? That's why I'm like, gas prices might suck. They might be good. I have to go to work. I have to go pick up my kid. I don't know what I'm going to do about that.
Well, so here's my thing. Do you remember what happened when Texas got hit with the hurricane and we had that gas shortage? It literally came down to just too many people were buying and hoarding. It had nothing to do with them actually being short on gas. Now we're actually short on gas. People are hoarding again. We're gonna have the same issues. But my thing is, like you said, like I have to pay for it either way. So I mean, why focus on it? Like the more
sucks, but whatever.
Like the most I could do is just not feed into the panic. Like if
I
keep operating as normal. That's the most I can do to keep it from getting worse is me just doing me.
And why is it? The most you could do really is post about it on Facebook because that's what everyone does. But why is it the gas station is the measure of our economy?
So no,
why the gas? There's jobs, there's stocks, at this point there's crypto in a sense, and it's like we're like the gas station is the pinnacle of our economy. Why that?
Dude, so it's because there's so much money in oil and gas, man. There's a lot of money in it. Like, so I've heard arguments that, we actually could go full green and be fine. Like, we have the technology, but the reason why the government won't do it is because of how many people they would put out of work who are too old to join a different workforce.
You know what? And here's the other thing. Here's why I can see maybe gas stations are the pinnacle of our economy outside of big oil. It actually is transformative. You'll always need it, aside from gas, okay? Teenagers, what do you do when you first start making money? Dude, let's go to the gas station. Let's get some Sobeys. Remember we used to go get some Sobeys? We'd walk to go get some Sobeys. You know what I mean? You start getting a little older. and it's like, hey man, we got to go get some Swishers. Hey dude, we got to go get some Backwoods. It's like it progresses, and then you're old enough to drink. You're like, hit the corner store on the way home, bro. Let's get some beers. Let's get something to drink. So maybe it is the pinnacle of our economy because it's so crucial to our lives. It's like you go from walking there for Sobeys, and then you're getting Backwoods, and you're getting beer.
I think you're
falling in love.
Money orders.
I feel like you're not accounting for the fact that they don't. Most of them don't call themselves gas stations. They consider themselves convenience stores. Because, like, when I think, like, when you think of what a gas station technically is, like those ones that don't have a building attached, like, yes, that is a gas station, but there's a reason why they call themselves a convenience store and why there's, like, the higher price on Sobeys when you could go to, like, Costco or Walmart or H-E-B, anything like that, where you could just go in and buy them cheaper. It's the convenience. So, like, yeah, those will always be there, but I don't think that's right. Gas is the pinnacle of our economy.
It may not be, but I think Devin is onto something there.
I mean, I don't disagree fully. I mean, there is a huge, like, I think convenience, like, even if we ever do fully move away from gasoline, I don't think it will ever stop the fact that we're going to always have convenience stores. Like, the same thing with, like, a Dollar General and stuff like that. Like, there's always going to be a need for those things. That it's going to be quick, easy. I don't want to go into a huge store. I just want to run in, run out real quick. I only need, like, just need Swishers.
Specifically a convenience store, though, like, you can do a lot of stuff there. The more I'm thinking about it, dude, like, you can buy lotto tickets, you can buy beer, you can buy ice, you can buy regular food, you can buy snack food. You can do money orders. You can send stuff to people. There's Bitcoin machines there. Like, what?
Dude, there's Bitcoin machines there now. Rocket coin. Yeah, you can get a wallet. You can get a digital wallet at a freaking gas station. You get beef jerky. Buc-ee's is a cultural phenomenon. Have you been to a Buc-ee's? It's an experience. It's insane. And then on top of that, everybody wants to beef about it. It's like, well, QT's the best. Buc-ee's is the best. You know, there's this beef, right? It's so pivotal. The movie. Okay, let's fight about that. Movie Clerks. What's the movie Clerks? It takes place in a station. The pilot, the pitch episode for regular show. Y'all seen it? Have y'all seen the original? I haven't seen the pilot. No. Bro, it's not like the pilot, but it's what spawned it. It's two guys in a gas station on Halloween night. They take acid. They start turning into the gumball machine guy. They turn into, I can't think of their names, Rigby and whatever his other name is, the Blue Jay and the Weasel.
Mordecai.
Okay. That's how that started. A gas station skit. Two guys dropping some acid. Created the regular show, which is like third wave Cartoon Network, one of the pinnacles of like third wave Cartoon Network.
It's a good show.
So, hey, they're pivotal, dude. They are a pillar of society, even
American society,
built off the backs of gas stations.
I
was never into that era of Cartoon Network.
Dude, I wasn't. I watched it, but it's because it was what was on. Like, there would be nothing else on. And I'm like, I don't really feel like paying attention. I never thought the shows were like, oh, like, you know how like Adventure Time was like a huge thing. Like when we were nearing the end of high school. I didn't get into that one. Did not care. Like, I was like, I don't understand why y'all think this show is so cool. Like, it is average at best cartoon-wise. Like, this is not a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Like, this isn't a Pokemon. Like, this isn't going to be a cultural icon.
It is a cultural icon, actually. But, yeah. I mean, I didn't get into it either. But regular show I got into, and then not Cartoon Network, but Avatar: The Last Airbender still hands down best children animated series. Like, that's ridiculously good.
I mean, I put that on a whole different level, though, because, like, that's an anime. Like, it's built to be different.
It's not. I mean, I guess it is, but it's...
Like, it is built to be something different. It's built to actually connect with adults and kids. Whereas, like, regular show, like, I don't feel like it was.
No, but Avatar is a different thing, dude.
that whole era though is like, by that time in my childhood, I wanted to separate myself from cartoons because I thought it was immature to watch cartoons. I wanted to be like the grown-ups. So like, I missed that wave, you know what I mean? So like when the junior hires in the high schools were like, I'm going to watch Adventure Time. I was like, I just thought it was dumb. But it is like a cultural thing. I was like, and like every girl I've dated has like been like, do you like Adventure Time? I'm like, I've seen like 2 episodes.
Dude, I don't know. Like,
I think it's like the greatest stuff ever.
My thing is like the reason why I say I don't feel like it's a cultural icon, and maybe it's just me misusing the term, but I think like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, like little kids, like we were probably into that when we were younger, or we watched it, we thought it was really cool. There are kids nowadays who are still going back and watching those and think they're really cool. I don't feel like the younger generation is going to go back and watch like Adventure Time or Regular Show. Like, you know what I mean?
I see what you're saying.
I don't think
like
it's going to
lasting through
translate
generations.
Yes.
Yeah, like SpongeBob is a cultural icon.
Yes.
Like it's transcended generations.
Yes.
We have to give it time. SpongeBob, I think the first episode was 99.
Yeah.
So it's had 22 years.
It's had time.
Adventure Time has probably had 10 to 13 maybe at most. So like we have to give it Teenage Mutant Turtle.
But like here's my
TMNT is probably what, 80s?
80s, late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah, 80s, 90s. But what I'm saying is same thing. Like, dude, I haven't seen anyone walking around with like Adventure Time swag.
I've seen a lot of it. Yeah,
dude, I've seen a lot of it. Sorry.
Huh.
Yeah, I've actually seen. I see it. I was very common in high school. And a little bit in college, but then as I've gotten older and even dating some girls, they're like, have some type of Adventure Time merch.
I don't know.
So
that's just not me, I guess. Maybe I'm just out of touch on that one, but I just don't feel like it's as big as it used to be. Like I don't think it's gonna stay there.
And we'll have to see given the time, but I think that whole era I like just left out on because I didn't think it was that cool. Like, I mean, I've seen some Adventure Time episodes. They actually are pretty funny. Regular Show, it's all right. Tyler, the Creator, was on it.
I love Regular Show. I think it's funny.
See, I thought
it's like
Regular Show was decent.
I did not like Flapjack. Couldn't get into Chowder.
Dude,
at the time, I'm like, I don't want to watch
cartoons.
I'm like, I don't want to watch cartoons. I
hated those, bro. I'm
like
on
Flapjack.
Devin's level. Like, I feel like I'm kind of in the middle between y'all. Like, I feel like Quentin loves a bunch of like cartoons and stuff like that. Whereas me, like, I had some that are like, I feel like those are decent. I'm good with those. Like Regular Show, I thought Regular Show's really good. When I stopped watching it, it wasn't like, oh man, I really need to get back to that. But like, dude, Chowder, Flapjack, not big for me either.
Regular Show to me was like it just reminded me of the humor of our 2 buddies that were brothers. It reminded me of that type of humor. Like that is what Regular Show was to me. Like the 80s, playing the guitar and then like doing this super crazy stuff, like playing arcade games and fighting these giant apocalyptic monsters and like, dude, I'm not picking up the chairs next time. Like just dude, like I don't know. It's a certain type of humor, but
and it feels weird to have that disconnection because there's another Steven Universe was another one that was huge. I remember even in high school, there were some people that were insanely into Steven Universe. And like that was like
I
their
never
life.
even
And I'm
seen
like,
that one.
Apparently there was an actual storyline like to it. It wasn't just like a haha stupid show. Like it was an anime. Right? Like it was like a Western anime, right? Like, because here's the thing. I'll admit I'm super.
So don't think
biased,
Avatar's an anime.
That's fine, right? And everyone's super biased about their cartoons because when I left off, like Dexter's Laboratory to me, that was the shit. Fairly Odd Parents to me, probably number 1 if not number 2. Samurai Jack, that was the shit. I thought
Samurai Jack.
So like that's where I left off. So
that was a long time.
I mean, again, I'm
that was like
partial to that.
early mid 2000s.
Maybe it's the relatability that doesn't hit to us. Maybe it's just that.
It's when you decided that like you're like I don't want like because I made a decision. I was like I don't want to watch cartoons anymore. I want to be an adult.
Mm-hmm.
And then as you become an adult, you're like that's not what being an adult is. There's nothing to do with it. You know what I mean? So because like and again, it's the bias and what you grew up with of the nostalgia. DBZ will always be one of my favorites. Dragon Ball Super always one of my favorites. If you literally put it side by side with another anime, It's not good, dude. Let's just call it what it is. It's not good. It's really not.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
I did not believe y'all when you're like, Devin, Death Note is better than Dragon Ball Z. And I was like, no. And then I got the swine flu, and I watched the whole series like in a week, and I was like, that was amazing. That was amazing.
So what's great for me, never seen it. I had it spoiled to me like 3 or 4 times, so it's like, yeah, no thank you. I don't care about this show.
The thing is that it caught me off guard because, like, you know, you're like, oh, it's a mystery. I'm like, I don't like mysteries and detective stuff, but it was just so good. I was like, I tried to rewatch it, but I already know. It's like, I can't get it out of my head. I'm like, I already know what happens. I want to watch it again for the first time. I want, like,
yeah.
God.
Oh, dude, I still think about it. Like, there are a bunch of ones that like I wouldn't watch. Like I think I watched all of Fully Cooley. It was all right.
It's like 8 episodes.
Yeah, that was like it was short. It was decent. It was like, all right,
I think
cool.
6.
Yeah, I actually think it was less than that. It was like it was
1.
I want to say like 6 episodes might be it. It might be less than that. Like, it was built to be short. It didn't need to tell a huge story. Like, my thing is, like, with some animes, they're so good that you're upset that it ended so short. And then you have those animes like Naruto and Bleach and like One Piece. That's like, dude, it's just gone on too long. Same thing with like Dragon Ball Z. Like, I think that's my biggest problem with Dragon Ball Z too, is it's like, dude, it just never ends. Like, y'all are willing to go further with it, whereas I'm like, I saw this saga to this saga. That was enough for me to understand the full complexity of the show, whereas y'all were willing to tolerate more and watch more into the sagas.
My thing is, like, I consider myself insanely casual when it comes to anime. Like, if you're like, you like anime, I'm like, I think it's cool, but really I've seen like 2, maybe 3. You know what I mean? Like, because I talked to some of my friends that we work with. They are like, you could call them a weeb and it wouldn't offend them. Like, buddy recommended me Hunter x Hunter. He's like, it's one of the greatest of all time. And I trust his opinion on it because he has seen so many animes. I looked it up. I think it's on HBO. But the point is, first thing I did was like, how many episodes is it? And I did the math, and it was like 55 or 60 hours. I was like, I don't want to put in the time. I don't want to put 60 hours into this show. I'm like, I don't care.
One thing, I don't know if it would appeal more to you or Clayton, but something about that show is that it's like, it's an anime it has combat, but the entire show is not just about like getting more powerful and like just your strength and pure power and brute force. Like, it's like an adventure, bro. And it has like a whole bunch of like puzzles and stuff. Like, it's very different.
I don't know.
It's pretty good.
I don't know how to describe like what I like in anime. Like, anime is hard for me to like tell you like this is what I look for when I do it. There was one that was super weird that I was into, but like it only had 1 season out on Netflix, and it was literally one where he puts a quarter in the car and it becomes some like giant fighting machine, but he's only got so many quarters. The guy can't be killed. Like, I was like, all right, I'm down. I watched. I was like, that was good. Like, for me, animes, there's not like a particular thing that jumps out to me, and I'm like, this is the style that I watch. Like, I'm just like, I guess this is what I'm into at the moment. Yeah, like there are some where I'm like, I just want to see a heart-touching tale about 2 people that don't exist. All right, that's what I'm going for. Like, I will watch those sometimes. It depends on my mood, 100%. But I don't consider myself an anime watcher because, like, dude, I haven't watched it in years. Like, all these classics everyone's watched at, I'm like, never seen it. I don't care to see it. I'm just not at the point where I want to watch that. Like, there are like 1 or 2 that I split and watch.
I can't consider myself a fan because, like, I was on Fit, and one of like their favorite animes on Fit is Berserk, because they're like, dude, it's super manly, it's super motivating, the character's amazing, and he has a really cool theme. I looked up his theme. I was like, man, I'll check this out. This is the level of like uninterest I was in. 1st episode, I realized it was subtitled. I was like, I don't want to watch this. I was like, I don't want to watch this. I was like, I don't want to watch this. I was like, I don't want to watch this. I was like, I don't want to watch this. I was like, I don't want to watch this. I was like, I don't want to watch this. I was like, I don't want to watch this. I was like, I don't want to watch this. I was like, I don't want to watch this. I was like, I don't want to watch this. I was like, I don't want to watch this. I was like, I don't want to watch this. I was like, I don't want to watch this. I was like, I don't want to watch this. I was like, I don't want to watch this. I was like, I don't want to watch this. I was like, I don't want to watch this. I was like, I don't want to watch this. I was like, I don't want to watch this. I was like, I don't want to watch this. I was like, I don't want to watch this. I was like, I don't want to watch this. I was like, I don't want to watch this. I was like, I don't want to watch this. I was like, I don't want to watch this. I was like, I don't want to watch this. I was like, I don't want to watch this. I was like, I don't want to watch this. I was like, I don't want to watch this. I was like don't feel like reading. I turned it off, and I subtitled Dragon Ball Super. I was fine with me, but I was like, I already don't really want to watch this. I'm not reading.
It was the nail in the coffin. I'm just the same way. I will only do dubbed.
Yeah,
I'll do dubbed if it's good enough.
I tried Demon Slayer. I keep seeing it on recommended on Netflix and stuff, and I got to like the first episode, and I'm like, I don't know. It's all right, I guess.
Dude, I think that's the problem with animes too. Is there are a couple bangers out there, but there's just so many that I feel like a lot of anime people will cut a bunch of them slack and be like, "It's super good," when it's really not. It's just it's in the sphere,
it's
and
like
it's
cool because it's an anime.
There's very few anime that have like caught my attention so much that I've watched it like from beginning to end, and those are the ones I guess I could say I'm a fan of. Like Death Note, like I watched that in like I think 2 days, the whole series. Like I was just like, this is the best thing ever. Another one was the High School of the Dead, or whatever. It was like a 8-part series. That one was good. There's one other out of my mind. I mean, it'll come back to me.
That's my thing. Like there are a couple good ones, but like, dude, they're like Hunter x Hunter. Like they'll throw out like 30 different animes that they're really good. They're really good. But in actuality, I feel like you watch most of them and they're just mediocre. I feel like anime is just filled with so much trash that mediocre ones get thrown into the top.
It does. It does happen.
And because you ask them your opinion on all of them, they're always like, well, that's good. Yeah, no, that one's good too. That one, you're like, okay, but which one is like what would get the average person interested? You know what I mean? Because like, there's stuff I'm into that I'm like, I have to stand back. If someone ever asked me, what would you recommend? I'm like, there's so much average content. I don't want to turn you away from it. You know, Battle rap is Battle rap is really the first thing I'm talking about. And I'm like, there's so much average that I think is tight because I understand it. But I'm like, average person thinks this is stupid. Why are 2 guys yelling at each other in a crowded room? But so like, I'm like, there's 2 to 3 I can recommend. That have average appeal.
That translates to a lot of things. Like, so you got into guitar, it goes into skating, like same thing. So like skating wise, like you can watch a whole skate competition. Like you can watch one of the street league ones. And if you're not in the scene, you don't understand why what that person did was better than the other person. Like you don't understand the difficulty levels to it or the complexities. Like same thing with like music. Like me and Devin have talked about, there's rabbit holes within music as far as like even in just guitar. Like there are people who are gods in the guitar scene, but they're not known to everyone else because you can't understand the complexities of what they're doing with the guitar as like your average person.
And that's the thing. Like I literally thought about the day when I was skating. I was like, Shane O'Neill is that skater. Everything he does is so clean. You do not appreciate it if you're not a skater. Like you watch him and you're like, man, I could do a kickflip. I can do a backside this. And then you go outside and do it and you're like, how come mine doesn't look like his? Like you have to understand to appreciate Shane O'Neill. You have to be skating for a while and be like, damn, like you understand why he's like, he's going to be goated. He's going to be one of the goats, like honestly. So yeah, no, I get that. You know what I mean? And then also like, that's the thing. If you were good at something, would you rather have that mainstream appeal or would you rather be goated inside that community in that niche?
Depends on what you're after, right? So it depends on your mindset.
For you personally,
for me personally, like, because like I can point out examples. Like you can look at someone like Ryan Sheckler, who like really good at the sport, but everyone looks at him as sellout within the sport. So it depends on what you're after, right? Me personally, dude, it depends on the industry. If it's something that I'm not huge about, like if I like, let's say I were to, for instance, go pro in skating, I'm here to sell out, baby. Like it's fun, but to be honest with you, I don't care whether I'm goated in the community or not. Like I have a great time doing it, but there's not this like deep inner love of like, this is like, I can't wait to do this. Like, this is huge. Like, for me, it's like, all right, dude, what's going to sell next? Like, what can I do that's going to appeal to the average person that I can bring in a wider medium of people? Like, I'm not looking for... yeah, to a degree. Like, like there's the idea of him of like he does what appeals to everyone. Like it's the like how we talk about like, oh well he does this, like okay, like if you do or El Toro, like or Del Toro, my bad. You do that.
No, it's El Toro. You had it right.
You do a trick down that. It doesn't matter who's watching. Everyone's like, that's impressive. Just because it's that big. Like, I'm looking for things like that are going to grab everyone and pull them in. Now, if it's something I care about, like, let's say gaming, for instance, something I love deeply and truly care about, I want to be goated in the industry. Because
you're passionate.
So, yeah.
It's something I love.
Yeah, I agree. It has to come down to that. Personally, I would like to be goated within the community. I don't know specifically. I'm not saying specifically what, but whatever I end up being good at or super, insane at, I'd rather be goated within that community if I had to pick, because I don't want to be the guy that everybody knows, but inside the community, like nobody cares. I'd rather be goated and respected amongst the other legends, because here's the other threshold that you can cross. If you are like 1 in a billion, you can do both. Tony Hawk is goated inside the community, also has mainstream fame. You know what I mean? Because as soon as you start skating, people are like, "Oh, you Tony Hawk." You know what I mean? Eminem,
well, dude,
goated inside the community, mainstream appeal. So there's certain levels that you can do that.
Had this conversation at work, actually. I had a guy who, I was listening to Rodney Mullen do his TED Talks and was listening to him. And he's like, nobody cares about him. They were like, I only care about Tony Hawk. I was like, I don't think you understand. And if it wasn't, I was like, I get this. I was like, let me make it make sense to you. I was like, think about your mentor's mentor. You don't think about that guy. You don't have a huge respect for him. But there's the understanding that if he didn't do what he did, the person that you respect would not be that person. So it's like that conversation within it. Like, I agree, but there is that deep goated. Like, I feel like Rodney Mullen is goated in the community, but I'm sure if you ask the average person who like Preferal knows it, they would have no idea who he is and why he's so important in the community.
Dude, I wouldn't know who it is.
And I like that you brought up the mentor's mentor. When I find somebody I like and I like dig into their content, I try to find their mentor, because I want to see. It's like, well, I like this person. I like their take on things. Where are they? What's their take on the person that they thought they were having a take on, or what's their take on the other thing? So like, who I look up to, listens to, or whatever the case may be, I find the mentor's mentor, because the mentor's mentor is usually more boring. They're usually more boring, but they are speaking more truth, and they have this other take on it that is usually, like I said, boring, but it's like, if you really sit down and understand it, it makes sense. Like, Rodney Mullen's a great example, mentor's mentor. But I think, like, if you find like your favorite rapper, you're like, well, who's his favorite rappers? Okay, now who's his favorite rappers' favorite rappers? Because I always pull from creative people, you know what I mean, and put it into my own life. Bruce Lee's mentor was Ip Man. Ip Man. You know what I mean? And then I always get these backwards, like Alexander the Great, I've always been interested in because he did a lot at a young age. And then I always get this mixed up. He was either mentored by Plato or by Socrates, but he was mentored by one of those. And then one of those was mentored by the other one. So like that always leads me up the chain of like, where'd the original idea come from?
Yeah, I mean, dude, that's anything, dude. Like the mentor's mentor, it depends on how into the scene you're in, right? Like the thing is with like most people, like you go to Rodney Mullen's is kind of a bad example because I feel like he does translate well with people if you find him and you like listen to him and you're somewhat into skateboarding. Like I feel like he'll be able to resonate with you, but I feel like in most case scenarios, like their mentor just didn't know how to talk to people and make it make sense. Like they didn't know how to dull it down. Like they're a genius in their own craft, but they don't know how to make it make sense to the layman. Whereas the person that they mentored that blew up understood how to make the mainstream understand it.
Yeah, no, for sure. There's some of that. And it's also like, kind of like sometimes that is the person. Like with Rodney Mullen, it's like, okay, there's not really a mentor for him. He just did it. It would not be here without him. You know, so it's like a whole nother level, but you always look up to those influences, and because they're usually there's some first principles in there, like the most basic form of something that you can extrapolate from, and whatever. Because like if you talk to, or if you watch certain entrepreneurs, they usually reference Henry Ford and Andrew Carnegie and Benjamin Franklin. So then you look into them and you're like, dude, some of the stuff they were doing back then is still done today. Completely different forms, but in essence, it's there. And it's like, what the, like, it's just like.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, dude, it's crazy the amount of stuff that like just translates all together when it comes to stuff like that. Like any principle you look at, there has got to be some end root to it, but the closer you get to that end root is what's always surprising. Because like you're like, oh, they look back at those entrepreneurs. Well, I mean, there's part of you that wants to take a look back and like, who is their entrepreneurs? Like, there's no way they could have been the first, right? So who did they look at, and how did they morph it and make it their own?
No one has an original idea.
Well, who? Yeah, it's like, well, yeah, and everything's a remix, so it's like trying to find the root, the base track that we sampled from, and everybody had their different take on it. Obviously, I'm super into Alan Watts. His thing is that he took Eastern philosophy, brought it to a Western audience, made it make sense. So, like, dude, I've looked into Lao Tzu, big Eastern philosopher. I have like 2 books I just got from Half Price Books I haven't opened yet, but one is called The Self, and then one is just all like a bunch of Eastern philosophy about the Tao. So it's like, again, I'm going to go closer to the root of the tree and be like, what is like the main message here, and like what's my take on it? It is interesting. It is interesting. I think, and it's like not everybody always looks for the mentor's mentor, but I think it's worth looking at, because you're like, how did it turn into what it is?
Well, my thing is, too, I think off the rip as well, you can't be the person that goes to the mentor's mentor first. You know what I mean? You have to go to that person that's like, okay, this is the guy I want to mentor me. Like, you got to understand the basics that he teaches you. You get the principles because he makes it make sense, then you jump back. Like, I'm sure if you were to start on, like, Andrew Carnegie as, like, your entrepreneurial, a lot of it would have gone over your head because your brain has not started that pathway of like, that's how that translates today. So a lot of it will go over your head. Same thing I would assume with like Eastern philosophies and stuff like that. If someone had not brought it and translated it for you, you probably would not be able to understand the principles that mentor is talking about.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
Yeah, no, agreed, for sure. Craziness.
Mm-hmm. Dude, so we were talking about Instagram earlier. Dude, I saw an article that had me dying. So you very briefly brought up like Instagram. So there was this lady that apparently went to a Florida school because all the greatest stuff happens in Florida. She is 28, decides that she is going to dress like a high schooler and try to go to high school to gain followers. Security snuffed that out and in like a couple minutes. Like, she was preventing security stops her and she's like, yeah, I'm a new student here trying to get to this administration office or whatever. Apparently walks right past that after security tells her, because security's like, okay, well, all right, well, I guess head in. And then they walk past her like, that's weird, we told her right where it was at, she just walked past, something's not right here. Apparently, they then find her, like, a couple minutes later, stopping students from going out to class, and she's handing out pamphlets to her Instagram and stuff like that.
Wow.
Dude. That is like, okay, here's my question. Like, people go down that rabbit hole. My question is, what is the value of nothing? Likes are literally worth nothing. There's actually, like, over, I think, 10,000. I think it's in the double-digit thousands of Instagram accounts with over 1 million followers. But if you didn't know that, you would think, well, 1 million followers is a lot. I'm famous. Well, there's 10,000 other people just like you. You got to get to the triple-digit million to be in the single digits. And it's like, what does that bring you? What does that bring you other than the instant gratification of like people like this?
Dude, so the best part is
broke into a school.
She accrued over $1,600 in fine, like $16,000 worth of fines.
Good. She better go sell some feet pics or some butthole pics to make that ticket up.
So apparently I was just like reading through the Reddit thread of like, this is insane. There's like, what is going on here? So someone else in the Reddit thread did a deep dive, found out she's apparently actually from like Georgia or something like that, some state like that, in which she was a cop, in which she got fired for leaking another officer's nudes by hacking into her stuff and leaking the nudes. And I'm just like, dude, how insane is this person?
Oh, like, my God.
That is, dude.
Well, I mean, 28 years old, breaking into a school to get followers. That was more insane than leaking nudes, to be honest.
But that's the thing. Leaking nudes was the start. Like, it wasn't just like, this person went on to Instagram and they kind of fell off the rocker and they got, you know, just too deep into it. It was like, no, this was a crazy person beforehand, and this is their next crazy stunt.
I have a question. Why didn't she just, like, hit up every local university or public college? Where you
Thank you. That was exactly what I was thinking. She can just, walk onto campus.
Here's the problem. You're thinking rational. It's a Florida woman, bro.
Agree. No, that's literally it.
You're thinking Georgia
woman. Using your brain.
Dude, most people...
You're using your brain.
People who were on there was like, dude, this is like $16,000 worth of fines. You could have bought the followers at that point. Like, if like all you care about is the number, like, you could have just bought them.
Dude, and that's the thing. For $1,600, she could got over...
No, 16,000.
Oh, 16,000?
$16,000 in fines.
Oh, 16,000. She could have got close to 1 million followers. Yeah, you can buy them. They're like, I think it's like $33 for every 100. You get a discount as it goes up.
Good Lord.
16 grand, you could probably get 1 million followers. And you could buy likes too. So split it 8 and 8. What an idiot.
Dude, that's what's blowing my mind about it. Like, the funny thing is like, you see, like, I was reading the Reddit thread of it, and they're like, wow, this is so stupid. And then you see, like, you click on the actual news article, and then you see the comments under the news articles. The news articles aren't even talking about, like, wow, this is crazy. This lady's already done this. She's insane. One person was like, wow, I graduated with that person. She punched me in the back of the head in high school. And then there was another person who was like, how was she able, like, dude, security dropped the ball on this. Why did they not walk her to the administration office? Why did they even let her walk away? Like, this was a huge threat. Like, so for them, it was like security threat. Reddit, they're just like, wow, this person's crazy.
Dude, guaranteed there's some parents up there already called the school, blowing them up. Dude, I'd be pissed. You let a 28-year-old psychopathic woman.
The best part is, too, she got away. So the reason they were able to find her, so the incident happens.
They had her Instagram.
So faculty finds out this is a problem, and they get like their resource officer and police officers, and they're like corralling her, and she starts to catch on, like, they're on to me. She just walks out to the faculty parking lot and just walks off while the cops are like, hey, stop, don't do that. So, like, her charges, so the way they were able to find her is social media. They were able to find her driver's license, her location. They were able to arrest her. But, dude, she got charged with burglary of a, like, occupied building or something like that, and that's like a $15,000 fine, a $500 charge for like trespassing, and then a like $500 charge for disobeying a police officer nonviolent.
This is why I guarantee she votes. Guarantee she's amongst us and she votes. Idiots, dude. Like, what? Breaking into a high school, like you said, the universities, man. And here's the thing: she can't monetize the high school kids. Like, let's say she did have an OnlyFans. You know what I mean? She can't monetize all those high schoolers. She should have went to the universities, started throwing some ass out. You know what I mean? Hey, follow me, da da da, and then monetize everything. But again, that's thinking logically, that's thinking rationally. This is obviously someone who does not think that way.
Dude, and then on top of that, like giving a high schooler a pamphlet. Like, I don't know if pamphlets don't work. Like, why are you handing out pamphlets?
Yeah, you're just
like,
giving...
Of all things, like, that is literally the meme, hello, fellow kids. Like, nobody's buying
Follow
it.
me on Insta.
Like, here's a pamphlet.
Not
dude,
only that,
everyone's like, what the hell are you doing here?
Anytime you hand out a pamphlet, yeah, you're just asking someone else to throw it away. I hate when people try to market that way, dude. Like, I remember I was eating at a McAllister's one day. This guy walked around handing out these little cards with, like, I forgot what he was advertising, but he didn't speak to anyone. He just, like, dropped it off at every table. I'm like, bro, no offense, but you should definitely grow a pair of nuts and actually introduce yourself and offer your business and services. You doing this silent little drop your card off everywhere?
So you say that. How do you feel about people leaving their business cards at places?
Okay, here's the thing. You can do it. I'm not going to bitch. But it's not effective. I have never looked at one of those bulletin boards and been like, I'm going to, no. Yeah, that business card tells me nothing. That business card tells me nothing. Let's get real with human nature. This is like always a theme of every episode, but here's the thing. People are quick. You needed something eye-catching, dude. Look at the ads you see on your Facebook. Look at the ads you see on your Instagram. It's always like, hey, stop what you're doing. Hey, my name's da-da-da-da, and here's what we do for you, blah, 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 blah. Or if it's not one of those people like marketers that are in your face, the ad's insanely interesting. I'm sorry, but your business card is not entertaining. I saw an ad today, one of the few ones that made me stop and scroll and like read it. It was Nut Rub. They make a paste you put on your balls. There's multiple scents. It keeps them fresh all day. Okay. Summer's coming up. You got some hangers. They catch some sweat. You slap that Nut Rub on it, bro. You got it smelling fresh. You trying to get some blowies, whatever it is. Baby girl comes home. She's going down on your Johnson, and it smells like cocoa butter. It smells like Fruity Pebbles. It smells like, the Alpines. It smells like whatever. Because you got that Nut Rub, baby. You got that Nut Rub. Forget the shower. Forgo the baby wipes. Forgo the baby powder. You got that Nut Rub. And she's just, these balls smell fresh. They don't smell like peanut butter and sweat. They don't smell like you've been doing line work all day. They don't smell like the shop. They don't, you know what I'm saying? Nut Rub. I was like, this is crazy. And that's not the ad. That was not the ad. That was me. Well, that was me just advertising for them. The ad was just Nut Rub. And it was like these cans, like a gif of these cans stacking and unstacking. And I'm like, Nut Rub? So I'm going to check out the comments. And, dude, some girls were in the comments, and they were like, yeah, my husband slapped some Nut Rub on, not going to lie. They do stay fresh. And then there was a war in the comments. Some people are like, why is it so hard to take a shower? Why is it so hard to take a shower? I don't know. Maybe you've been standing up all day and you don't want to stand in the shower, but you want your blowies? I mean, slap that Nut Rub, baby.
What if you still take a shower and you just add the Nut Rub afterwards for that extra
slap
scent?
That Nut Rub.
So
just ask your girl right now, you want my nuts to smell like flesh and peanut butter, or you want them to smell like, I don't know, the forest?
I don't think
Evergreen,
you understand how they
Old
smell.
Spice?
Flesh and peanut butter.
Dude, so like my thing is that's not a product for me. Like why would you ever buy that? Like, I mean, I get what you're saying, but at the end of the day, dude, I do have a shower, and there's like, but it's like, on top of that, like, they don't get that bad.
Okay, hang on. It's like deodorant for your nuts.
There you go, deodorant for your nuts.
Okay,
stays fresh all day.
I mean, you know what? I should make a gooch rub, like right there in the little gooch, dude.
Hold on, you can hold on. I was gonna say. I was about to say, you probably applied the Nut Rub to the gooch. But here's the thing. Even if your nuts smell insanely fresh, she's not smelling your ass. It overpowers all that smell.
Okay.
Because Guaranteed.
Gets rid of the whole steam that comes out of there.
Once again, why not just shower and clean yourself like a normal human being?
No, you are.
Stop.
You're just applying it afterwards for extra.
No, stop.
Okay.
When is the last time? Hold on. When is the last time, as a guy, your girl offers you head out of nowhere? So first off, that's already rare. When would you say, stop, let me shower? Never.
Okay.
As a guy,
no.
you're like, all right, let's do this.
Here's my thing, though.
Okay, go ahead.
Anytime that's going to happen, like, in the back of their mind, they're already thinking, like, I feel like they account for it, and they already know whether it's a shower or not. I don't feel the nut rub makes a difference. So here's my thing. They're already considering when I showered. They're already considering what I did that day. Or they've already done the math, and they don't care. So, like, my thing is, it just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, every offer I've received is literally post-shower.
Yeah, post-shower.
Post-immediate shower almost.
Or they don't care. Shower. Like, even if it doesn't happen, they've already done the mental math, and they don't care.
Would they change their mental math? Because y'all both said, will they calculate the shower? Would they change their mental math if they knew my man uses nut rub? My man smells good down there.
How about this?
They might.
How about this?
Thank you.
You just shower frequently enough that it doesn't matter.
No, but okay, hear me out, right? Say you have a night out on the town, at the bar, at the club. You meet a lady. You're sweating a little bit. You've been dancing.
She's already done the mental math in this scenario that this is something she's okay with. Like, that's par for the course.
You don't think she might appreciate a little nut rub in her life, and then maybe she might, come back for another round if she's like, this man has some nut rub.
Here's my thing.
Didn't have no nut rub.
I don't want to smell that again.
Speaking out of a place where this once again doesn't happen to me because I'm committed and I'm fine. The type of person that I'm hooking up with at a club who's willing to do it day one is not someone I care if they come back for round 2 or not.
But if it was fire, you would. If it was fire, you would. And you want her to remember, she'd be like, man, I've been blowing guys for free for 3 months now. Why did his balls smell Alpine Fresh?
Okay.
What was that?
So here's my other thing.
What was that?
Here's my other thing. What happens when it gets in their mouth?
It tastes good, bro.
It tastes good. Yeah.
When was the last time you tried it? Have you tasted it?
Nut rub.
Because, like, here's the thing.
It has to be edible if it's down there.
Here's my thing.
It has to be edible.
Okay.
Because they might suck your nuts.
Side argument.
You ain't got your nuts sucked?
So, here's my thing. It's still disgusting. So, it keeps them fresh, but it's got to be edible. I don't know about you, but I don't think, like, you could spread peanut butter on your balls. Still don't think it's not disgusting to have that bacteria there. Like, I don't think the smell is the only reason they're saying no.
Dude, it's 90% of it.
Here's my thing, though. So there still has to be the antiperspirant side of it. And I don't know if you've ever accidentally gotten deodorant in your mouth at all. But, dude, it dries out. So, like, not my number one priority to put that on my nuts. Because on top of that, too, it's like, they could avoid the nuts. I'm sorry, but no. Like, sometimes I want the nuts messed with.
So why you need nut rub?
No!
It's literally why you need nut rub, dude.
My thing is...
Wagner's over here dumping in a little bowl of grease first.
Like, my thing is just why does it... It just doesn't make sense to me. Like, it's one of those products that I'm like, it solves a problem I really didn't need solved.
But it still solves a problem. You just
I don't need solved.
You don't.
We need. It's a monthly subscription service, right? You may not, but there is a whole. We need a woman on this podcast so we can ask her about this.
Yeah,
her perspective on nut rub.
I guarantee you, 90% of the women that we actually could talk to that are not going to be crazy. Oh, don't even look at me, Devin. If you even have anyone in mind, I guarantee you they are out of their mind and crazy. Don't even pretend.
Okay.
I'm not having
a woman that's not.
Okay, here we go. Okay. Here we go.
Dude, I'm just saying. Oh, red pill been swallowed, chieftains. Don't even. But here's the thing. They don't have to be crazy to give some head or to want some fresh smelling nuts. You know what I'm saying? So we need an older guy who works in a shop, in a machine shop, and say, we need an older guy and we need like a young thotty. We need a young thotty. We need both them on so we can ask their opinion on nut rub. I want, hey man, your hangers, slapping on your thighs, Texas heat. Would you appreciate some nut rub? Young thotty, you're giving a blowy. What you want to smell? That's what I want.
Okay.
That's what I want.
At that point, you're just trying to be Howard Stern. So it's like, no, been there, done that. Like, I don't
Everything's
care.
been done.
Everything's
been done.
I don't. Let me put it like this. I do not care what her opinion is on it. Because at the end of the day, I'm the one buying it. So, I don't care.
Here's the thing. You're not buying it for yourself, 100% for yourself. And I just want to say to our female viewers, I care about your female opinion, okay? Don't worry about what Wagner says.
Here we go.
That he doesn't care about a female's opinion. I care about what you think about nut smell. And here's the thing. With Howard Stern, I don't think of sex talk. I think of his retard Olympics where he had Beetlejuice versus Gary the retard. That to me is the only thing I think about when I think of Howard Stern.
Dude, I feel like you completely underestimate how Howard got his start, was doing those things and getting taken off the air and stuff like that.
Good for him.
Like,
he's got a small little show. He's got a little podcast.
Dude, he literally had an episode where it was a girl and a dude. One could queef really loud and one could fart really loud. They literally made them fart and queef against each other.
They have nut rub?
No, it didn't exist.
Get off nut rub.
It didn't exist
I'm
yet.
sorry, dude.
It didn't exist yet.
This is a product for single men. I'm not that. Whatever. I do not care about nut rub. I don't know how to tell. I don't know how to quantify to you that I do not care about nut rub one bit. There's not ever a moment in my life, even after the product's been announced, that I'm like, yes, this is what I need. This solves such a great problem that I have. I'm sorry, it doesn't. It appeals to such a small market to me that it's I don't care. You're oh, well, this might be great for me. Okay, cool. You'll try it once and then you'll just stop caring about it because you don't care.
I just want to know if it was used on the show. That's all I want to know.
About what?
If it was used on the show.
No, I can't with you. Just egging me on, dude. I'm sorry. Just
hey,
I feel like nut rub.
It is $1 billion industry. The sex industry is.
I don't disagree.
Nut rub would be a part of that.
I don't think it ever will be. You can keep thinking that. I don't think it will be. My problem with that product, just in and of its whole, if I'm looking at it from the outside in, it appeals to such a small niche crowd to me.
Hey,
anyone that's
the
got
riches.
Nuts? No, I'm just kidding.
Thank you. That's super niche. I don't know anybody with some hangers, but the riches are in the niches. The riches are in the niches, is what I've always heard.
Okay,
dude.
cool.
Okay.
I just don't.
Right. I get it. Enough of the nut rub. I get it. Right. I get it. Enough of the nut rub. We'll calm down on keeping your boys clean. Whatever. There's just an audience for it, Manscaped. Manscaped's whole thing is about keeping balls trimmed.
No, that's a different argument. That's been worked into society. People like it trimmed, like it neat. That makes sense to me. Nut rub, on the other hand, the difference is, I guess it is. I guess I can see your argument to a degree about nut rub, but the thing is, with the social norm, it's become a social norm that you're supposed to be groomed down there. As far as nut rub goes, sorry, it's not a social norm. I don't think it appeals to enough people that it's going to be widely talked about that that's a normal thing. Because my thing is 90% of the people who are going to clubs and getting laid do not care. They do not care if the other person has a good time or not.
Right. And that's okay. And that's I agree with you, because those people that are going out, they're fucking raw too. They're already not concerned.
Yes, they're
hooking
care.
up in the bathroom in the car. They're fucking raw. Who knows what they're catching? Who knows what they're passing? I get that. It's actually more for the committed relationships. Spice it up. But here's the other thing. Have y'all ever thought that condoms are actually a psy-op?
What?
Meant to desensitize sex and take away your masculinity. Because it's supposed to desensitize sex, make it not feel as good, and be like, man, I don't think this is worth it. It could be a psy-op. It could be a psy-op to force lower population and population control.
No, I'm just going to say no.
I'm going to say no because it seems like it has no
Why
basis whatsoever.
Because we're overpopulated.
Right. So why is that not there? And that drives that because it desensitizes the psy-op.
What? I don't think it desensitizes
I feel like Devin's doing a horrible job at explaining his point as to why it's a psy-op, because the moment he knows he gives us any actual information, we'll just rip it to shreds.
No, you can't, because you haven't yet.
Okay, explain your thought thoroughly and why you think it's a psy-op. Go.
I just did.
No.
It desensitizes you.
Okay.
Sensitize population control.
What does that stop? So you're saying that's what stops population control? Like
it enables population control because you're desensitized to sex and like, this doesn't feel as good as it was hyped up to be. And you have all those MGTOW guys. If y'all know what MGTOW is, when they lay it down on you, they've given up on women and they're like, fuck sex dolls. Sex dolls you don't got to use a condom for. So it's a psy-op.
Your argument is they're using condoms as a psy-op so that you don't have kids. The whole intent of condoms to not have kids. So your argument and the selling point of the product is that it's a psy-op because they don't want you to have kids.
To desensitize you, they want more MGTOW. More MGTOW. MGTOW's not good for the manosphere.
Oh God.
Why do they want more? I feel like they would want more kids because that's good for money. More kids, more money.
Population control. They want MGTOW. They want people to have a kid.
They kill us off when we're older with cancer and heart disease and other stuff, war and all that.
You can't kill them as fast as we're birthing them right now.
So hold on. I'm trying to.
I know a girl who had 3 kids last week.
I'm trying to think through your point. Am I right in saying that your whole point of condoms is so that people don't have kids? Or are you saying they do that so that people will have kids? Like, what's your argument here? Because if your argument is like, oh, they're doing it so that, people don't think sex is good and they go to this, I don't think that's the objective if it's population control. I think the idea is that condoms prevent you from having kids. Like, I don't feel like I don't feel like it's this multi-tiered thing of like, hey, we have condoms so that you don't have kids, but in actuality, condoms are to drive you to this thing so you don't have kids. Like, I don't think that's the psy-op that you think it is.
It is that. It just drives you to MGTOW because you're like, if it feels the same or if it feels better with a robot or a doll or by myself, what's the point? What's the point of the hassle? And then you're not having kids. And then you just hate the world. There's more rage. It's easier to control people who are enraged.
On accident, and then now we have a problem.
Yeah. Okay, so the psy-op failed, right? But it is a psy-op in that sense.
It's not a psy-op by the simple fact of they blatantly tell you what it is. Like, that's not a psy-op.
You know what?
Like, a psy-op is they do something so that you don't know about it to see if they can mess with your psychology. Like, it's like me blatantly telling you, like, hey, man, I'm going to punch you in the arm, and then punching you in the arm and be like, bet you didn't see that coming. It's like, you literally told me you were going to do it.
And that's the thing. You must have never heard of the phrase that it's best to hide something in plain sight. So if you did say, I'm going to punch you in the arm, I'd be like, yeah, right. I wasn't expecting that. You haven't punched me in years. You haven't punched me since I wore red skinny jeans. So it isn't. That would be a good psy-op. I'd be like, whoa, you're not gonna punch me. Bam, that hurt. Psy-op.
I just feel like you're just overthinking it on purpose.
I don't know. That's just why I stay away from them. I'm not getting caught up in this government conspiracy.
You stay away from.
I feel like we're very close to Devin hitting incel culture.
Dude, definitely not an incel. Your boy out there. But I have a kid, so I obviously can't be an incel. I can't be an incel.
No. You can be an incel. The definition of an incel is involuntary celibate. It doesn't matter when it happens. Right. Doesn't matter if you've had a kid before.
Yeah, but it's involuntary celibate. Yeah, it's involuntary celibacy.
Exactly.
Oh, involuntary.
Yes, so like
involuntary.
You having a kid doesn't matter. You could still later on in your life not have a choice. I think we're close to Devin going down the rabbit hole, man. We got to keep an eye on him. If he's not on some watch lists, we need to put him on there. Get him on there early.
Put me out of my misery if I ever go incel.
I don't think we'll be in contact with you if that happens.
That'd be a dark time.
You'll see it slowly devolve. It's like all I want to talk about.
I'm saying I see it now. Y'all are telling me I'm seeing it too soon.
No, not happening. I just hate that my boys are caught up in the psy-op. That's it. That's all.
We caught up last night.
I don't know how to tell you if you think that's a psy-op. I mean, that's perfectly fine because I don't want kids. Like, I don't understand why you're like, even if it is, it worked. Sorry. Like, okay. But I don't.
For my point.
I don't think condoms is what did that for me. I think it just comes down to watching kids be kids and me being like, no, thank you. It's not worth the time and the money that you throw into it, in my opinion.
Watch, if we start tracing back the owners of these condom companies, they're going to go back to the original 13 bloodlines.
Oh, yeah.
And then you're going to be like, how do we know the bloodlines are real? Bloodlines are made up. You're going to start coming with all this logic, and we're going to be like, no, don't even start. Okay, the base is on the moon, and you know it.
I mean,
Galactic Federation.
Once again, out of all of us, how we make fun of the fact that like I go down like y'all are like, oh, we believe in this, this, and this. I'm still the only one that's watched Alex Jones's Endgame.
I still need to watch that.
So, like, at the end of the day, they're like, oh, I'm deep in it. It's like, no, I've already watched the starts and where it got its roots. Sorry. I just feel you're wrong.
Oh. Okay.
Once again, like I put it out last time, y'all don't do y'all's research. Y'all look for confirmation bias, which is fine. Everyone does to a degree, but you never look at the other side of it.
Yeah, 9/11 was still an inside job.
And you can believe whatever you want to believe.
Dude, okay. Right. And you can too. Here's the thing. So you're saying the most woke person in this room is actually the least woke. I find that to be strange. I find that to be very peculiar.
Well, I mean, that's a paradox in and of itself, right? It's like, it comes down so...
Most of life is.
I mean, anything you look at, it's like the same thing of like, well, I know that he knows, but does he know that I know that he knows? Like, you can always go in the paradox. The question is, where does it end? Like, I don't care whether I'm the most woke person in the room. I genuinely don't. I look at stuff to figure out what I think on a situation. That's it. I'm not looking to be politically correct in my answer or anything like that. Like, I don't care. As we determined earlier, I don't care if I hurt your feelings. I'm going to throw out what I think is the truth.
Your truth. And my truth.
Oh, here
it's
we go.
Different. I'm just kidding. I'm glad you brought up paradox. The Fermi paradox? The Fermi paradox?
Yeah, Fermi paradox.
Okay. I briefly scanned it over.
Okay.
Elaborate, you vile fiend!
Okay. So, the Fermi paradox is essentially a guy back in the day said, like, either alien, like, why is it possible that so many people believe aliens exist, but there's no empirical evidence to it? And then, from that question, he posed...
This guy was related to you.
Essentially what he stated, and then people come through and they're like, well, here could be the explanations for it. So it's kind of like he poses a question and then people come out with explanations as to why it could be this way. So there's a bunch of different theories. So like there's the great extinction theory, is that every time a civilization gets built up to a certain degree and it gets close to that, a massive event happens that makes them go extinct, so they never accomplish it. There's also the theory of like why we haven't been contacted by aliens is the simple fact of like one of the ones that I kind of bought into, and I was like, I actually kind of see that in our society today, is the argument of most, like, it is not economically makes sense to do it that, because in most cultures, more it's easier to create art and media and stuff like that. So they make media so good that nobody cares. Like, it makes more sense to just stay here. Why would we want to? We're enveloped in media. This is more entertaining than whatever we'd find out there. Why would we not stay here? And then there's so many of these. There's also the argument of like how we have the SETI bill where we listen for signals. There's the theory that everyone's listening for signals, but nobody's sending them. Because, like, even for us, it's hard for us to justify running that, spending resources on that to send the signal. And then there's also, there's so many arguments.
My thing is that I think we are a little selfish, as our culture is, in thinking that we would be the interesting planet to visit. If there is extraterrestrial life that can travel, they might have already seen us and been like, these guys? They're like, okay. So maybe that's like, okay.
So this would be the zoo argument that they have, is that we're just kind of a zoo. Like, we're not smart enough to interact with. They're just something we watch, just like apes and stuff like that. Like, so that would be part of that zoo theory.
I like that. I thought about this earlier when I was eating at Cotton Patch, and I called it the Abilene theory. It's like, we are like Abilene, Texas. No one you've ever interacted with said they want to go to Abilene, Texas. People want to go to Dallas, Fort Worth, Austin. No one is ever vacationing in Abilene. We're just the Abilene, Texas of the universe, of the Milky Way. We're not interesting. You get banished there, or you pass through it. Yeah, like that's. I was like, I don't think we would. If there was travel, don't think we're the most.
So that's the zoo theory. So what's your theory, Quentin?
We've already been visited. We just couldn't comprehend it.
Okay,
or haven't noticed it.
So there's that. There's another one that like was crazy too. Was the theory that what if like the way they're sending it is a different signal that we haven't figured out yet? So what if they are sending those signals out, but we're not at the technology level to understand it? Just like, I mean, you think about like infrared and stuff like that. That's stuff we couldn't see till like maybe the 90s is when we discovered infrared, and that was a thing. So there's that argument of maybe we're not as technologically advanced as we believe we are.
Even physically, like we can't see UV light. We can't see it. Mm-hmm. We just know it's there. So yeah, what if we just can't hear it? Just like there's the colors you can't see.
Yep.
So I mean, that's there's a lot of that. There's a lot of that. So I get it. He's sitting there at lunch and he's like, "Well, how come we haven't been contacted?" I think there's a lot of reasons. You got okay. Outside of us three, y'all don't like most people. So to think a whole other galactic race even cares. Kind of selfish.
But so here's our side argument to that, though. My side argument to that would be we still look for them. We still think that would be super interesting. As much as I've enveloped on myself and I don't like people, it's different. I want to see how they interact. I want to see what they do. Once I've discovered them, I may not care. So it could be that. Maybe they visited, we can't detect that they visited, and they determine, hey, they're honestly not worth our time.
It's because it's because that you assume if they can travel and communicate, you assume they're smarter. So you're like, well, there's something interesting there. You don't seek out stupid people because you're like, there's nothing to gain.
Yeah. So there was another one that was actually really interesting that someone stated that like if they become so technologically advanced, it would make more sense and be more cost effective for them to detect these planets and just send a probe and just communicate through different signals? Why would we need to travel there in person? Like, same reason of, like, if I want to have a conversation with Devin, why would I drive all the way to where he lives to do that, which is hours away? Why would I do that when I could just call him, or I could just FaceTime him, or I could just hop on a Zoom call with him?
True. Yeah, and we sent a rover to Mars years ago. Now we're going to try to send people. It's safer that way too. Mm-hmm. It's safer to be like, what's the climate here? Can our people survive it? What would we need to do to make it survive? Mm-hmm. So, I think like, a lot of people, I think there is a multiple arguments to, like, well, here's why.
Well, dude, that's the fun of looking at it, is like, which one's actually going to end up being the right one? Like, what are we going to discover? Like 100, like, it's going to be way after I'm gone, but what is going to be the actual reason? Like, what is going to be the reason that we discover is the true answer?
I mean, it could be them, like you said, like zoo animals that could just be watching us. Or I've also, like, I don't know if this is one of their theories, but like ancient, like civilizations, like maybe they've already, gone extinct or left this galaxy, but left technology behind. I guess it'd be kind of like the Mass Effect idea, but like the technology behind on Mars that they discovered that like shoots them forward so many years. Like if we found something like that, I could see that being kind of likely.
It could be like a cornerstone of, like, we won't interact with them till they get to this level of technology, so we'll leave something there to help them get there, but they have to get to a certain degree to find it.
Kinda.
What if it's like going to a bad restaurant? What if they did visit during the Egyptian times and they're like, this is bunk, bro, this sucks.
Like, we got the 1-star review on Intergalactic Yelp.
And they're like, never go back. They are stupid. And no one has ever chanced it since. It's going to take somebody to be like, it's been a while. We should give them a second chance. But everyone's like, nah, they're stupid.
I don't know. The only reason I think ancient is because it's very strange that the Egyptians, the Mayans, I want to say the Aztecs, I'm really not sure. And I think there was a group up in the Asian area, but like in ancient times, there was not some internet or, telecommunications, but they all had pyramid or pyramid-like structures, and they all studied the stars, and they all used stars to like tell the time of the year and everything. Like,
so that's where we started.
I don't know.
Last week with collective consciousness, right? It could be explained by that.
Yeah.
So, like, it may not even come down to aliens. It could just be collective consciousness that we tapped into. Like, that's the thing, is, like, there's so many side arguments for every argument when it comes to that. It's insane.
I just think that as a human being back then, if your main goal is survival or just taking care of your family or whatever, like, why would you be concerned with what's above you? Is there that much free time back then? Like, wouldn't you be more concerned with your environment, surroundings?
I think you're mistiming as far as, like, people go. So, like, when you look back at that era, like, yes, they're providing, but once you've gotten an actual group together in a civilization, you're building towns and stuff like that, that stuff's kind of taking care of itself, so you start looking towards other things. So I think it just comes down to, like, the human nature of wanting to understand what's around them. And, like, what's
time.
And, like, you can see all these things on the ground, but, I mean, you look up and it's like, dude, why is that there? What is that? Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's just that idea of that's always staring you at the face at night. Like, you lay down, because think about it, they don't have light diluting it out. So the sky, like, I don't know if you've been in, like, the middle of nowhere where there's no light pollution and
New
just
Mexico.
looked up. Like, you just look up and it's like, dude, I didn't, like, you don't realize, like, you live out in the country, you look up and you're like, yeah, there's not much light pollution. And then you go out into the middle of nowhere and you're like, dude, I didn't even realize there was actually that much light pollution where I was.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I was going to say. Like, okay, so back then, so like right now, modern times, if you have nothing to do, you will resort to drinking. That is the majority. You will resort to drinking if you have nothing to do. You'll resort to drinking or smoking, some type of drug, or video games, or porn. these creature comforts were not around back then. So yeah, you have nothing to do because your basic needs are met because the job you work is probably just part of the community. You just move some bricks that day. You help, like you help build the houses. That's about it. So yeah, your interests are beyond. There is no porn. There's no alcohol. There's no video games. You know what I mean? There's just like all you can do is learn. And yeah, the sky is so different.
Yeah, like all you're doing is trying
to.
The
vices were probably different. There were probably still like polyamorous and players. That was probably the only vice you really had was sex. There was probably some old school psychedelics, like, you know, because they had like cocoa leaves. Well, that was like a different part of the world.
So my side argument to that would be like it's always been around, right? So like even if those vices did exist back there, we still do it today. We're still trying to figure out how we interact with the universe and stuff. The question's still there. So like I mean,
the question's still there for the right people. I think it was more in mass back then. Now there is so much abundance. What do we do with our free time now? We do a podcast. We go skating.
Like
those things didn't exist back then.
So, So like I agree with Devin to a degree. There's other things for us to focus on, and I think that that's kind of why I buy into like that media and culture theory is that it accelerates so much faster than technology does. That we would get to a point that it just, why would we keep looking elsewhere? Like it finally overtakes. Because think about that today. Like we've all said it on the podcast. The last person to really like start innovating, we all believe is Elon compared to most people, right? Like, why is that? It's because we've gotten so much more media and created so much better media than what we had before, and our vices are better than what they used to be. Like that's kind of why I buy into that.
There's so much entertainment.
He's also like 1 in a trillion, you know? Like, dude.
But back in the day, think about that. That wasn't 1 in a trillion. Like, think about it. You look, like you said, like Andrew Carnegie, or Benjamin Franklin. You did say Bill Franklin, but I jumped the same part. Yeah. And Henry Ford and stuff like that. They were all around each other. And all those people, you'd think the same thing. Like, those are 1 of a trillion. Yeah, but they were all there in the same era, so it was less rare back then.
Well, Ben and Andrew weren't, but as Schwinn just kind of brought up, the Socrates and Plato and Epictetus, I can't pronounce his name, Epictetus, I always get his name wrong, Aristotle, those were around at the same time, yes, but I'm sure they were the outliers in their community.
I think more of them. That's my thing. It's like I feel like the vices are why it's like we're like, dude, this is so much more rare now. Like it was rare then, but we made it even more rare.
So do you think eventually? But go ahead.
No, mine's stupid. Mine is, trust me, it's stupid. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, eventually, do you think we'll become, like you're saying, our media progresses so fast? Eventually, do you think instead of progressing outward technologically, we'll just progress inwards, like the virtual reality theory?
So there's a part of a new reality. There's a part of a theory for that too, of like, why would we go to the outside when we could build it better, right? Like, why would I explore like? It's the same thing like that we have nowadays of like a lot of people love to stay inside. Why would I go outside when I can make whatever I want inside? So yes, that's a theory as well. Like, there's so many different theories, but I do believe it comes down to media and culture and those things taking over and being so good at what they do that we kind of fall away from looking outside of ourselves.
It's like distractions. I mean, sports, video games, like you said, drugs, like all of that.
The question is it a distraction? Like, it comes down to what you prioritize in life, right? Like, a lot of people find it very satisfying to do that. And we're calling them vices and distractions. But at the end of the day, if your thing is to pursue happiness and you just want to be as happy as you can, it's not wrong for you to get overtaken by media and stuff like that. If that's what actually genuinely provides you happiness, it's for you to determine. Like, yes, there's better ways to spend your time, but on top of that, like, yes, there's better ways, but if it makes you happy, is it a bad thing?
I would say only distractions in the aspect of us talking about people looking outward. like ancient times compared to now. That's the only way I mean it. It's like
I
distraction.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't having a hobby and all that. That's great. I mean, nothing down on people to do that, but
I don't know.
But I would say it can be absolutely destructive. I mean, the girl that broke into the school, her obsession with Instagram and social media presence.
That's true.
David Dobrik has to keep topping what he did. He put
Vlog
his
Squad.
Vlog Squad. He put his what you would call a friend in a life, threatening situation. You know what I mean? So yeah, those things absolutely can be vices when you're pursuing happiness. Absolutely, because what you can deem happiness is drinking. What you can deem happiness is porn and VR.
So
there's some of those people you watch in those interviews that they don't want to leave it.
So that's my thing, though. Like, my biggest thing when it comes to, like, what I determine as good and bad is if it makes me happy and it doesn't hurt someone else. So, like, yes. But to a degree, if it becomes virtual reality and, like, that's the argument, is that technology is going to be built more to entertain than to search outside. So most of, like, scientific focus, because obviously it's more profitable to throw it into media than to explore the stars, right? I mean, what's more profitable there? Obviously, media. You're going to make more money, so more people are going to look towards media. So the argument is that you get to a point, like, yes, it can be a bad thing, but to a degree, once it becomes, like, let's say virtual reality fully does take off, and we can live in simulations, you're not hurting anyone at that point. So, like, that's my thing, is that, like, technology focuses to do that.
But there would be an adjustment in the market and jobs and the economy and everything.
So that's the thing, is that we haven't gotten to that point in technology yet. So, like, the theory isn't that we're there yet. It's the theory of, like, look at the path we're kind of on now. We're not there yet, but look at that path. That could be a reality, and maybe that's a reason. You know what I mean?
We're not that far away.
So outside of jobs and market and free market and economy, there are some things that you can do that make you happy that can ultimately hurt others. Because to some people, mess makes them happy. So that has a negative impact on everyone around them. And if they have kids, it has a negative impact on them. So that's why I say, don't chase happiness, chase fulfillment. Because those things that have a longer burn and that you sometimes have to kickstart yourself to do are more impactful. The things that make you happy are quick hits, and they keep you safe. So in your head, safe.
So I'm not disputing, like, what you're saying, but that's not my argument. So, like, my argument is, like, so you bring up meth. Like, yes, it hurts people and stuff like that. But what if I could make simulated meth within, like, a VR system because technology has gotten that good and you're not affecting anyone? So that's the argument of, like, because, like, think about the progression, right?
Yeah.
Oh, we got all these meth addicts, and we think at it as such a rudimentary level of, like, well, how do we stop them from getting meth? And, like, stopping that because that's bad. What drugs, what things can we use to get them off of that? Well, eventually someone's going to be like, well, why don't we just make them feel like they are on it, but it doesn't have any of the downsides to it?
Mm-hmm.
So
here's
the thing. You bring up a great point, and I will tell you it can have the same effect. Here's why. We have virtual meth in the future. It has the same effect, but it will have downsides. Imagine those people have kids. They are going to stay in VR, and they're going to stay on meth, and they're not going to raise their kids. Now we have ripples in our society. Now those kids aren't getting raised. Now we have horrible people in our society, which is a spiral effect that you already know is going to happen.
So that's the argument. So, like, what happens when Utopia happens? Like, have you seen like the Utopian rat experiment that they did?
No, I've not seen that experiment.
So there's the Utopian rat theory, and they did it to they didn't have it with the intent in which we're discussing it, but their argument is at a certain point in Utopia, population levels fall drastically. So kids are no longer a problem. It doesn't matter who's raising them because we're not having them. So they become more focused on themselves, regardless of, like, how much room it is, like, what keeps them from stopping. Like, you'd have to look really deep into the experiment, but it's actually a really interesting experiment. But that would be my thing. Like, at a certain point, we get so advanced and all our basic needs are taken care of. We stop thinking about breeding. We stop thinking about building for the next generation. We stop caring about those things. So that could be the argument as like media and culture goes that far. Maybe that is the extinction leveled event, is that they get to a utopian status. So like same thing. Like, that would be my argument, is that like why would we breed? If I can have all my needs taken care of in VR, why would I? But like, the only reason we're scared of it now is because we're not close enough to it yet. We haven't been walked to that point, but the argument could be that we are trying to walk to that point. We just don't. Like, that's why there's so many naysayers of like, we got to stop here. We got to stop here. We're on a dangerous path.
So, and I'm glad we're on the topic of rats, because I don't think we can reach a utopia. Because also with rats, they did the dopamine experiment. The rats would have to cross these electroshock pads to get to a button that was hooked up to their brain. And when they hit the button, it would give them a little rat-gasm, so the dopamine hit. And it did not matter how much pain they were in. They would do anything to get that dopamine hit. So that is that virtual mess. That is that virtual sex doll. That is that virtual orgasm. That is the effect it would have. And that still happens today. That happens with social media. That happens with porn. That happens with video games. That's how people right now, before VR is actually very prominent now, but people get addicted to those things, and it does have ripples in the society for the things that make you happy. You have to actually look at the things that make you happy versus making you fulfilled. Because I mean, it is good to always think. I know a lot of us have the philosophy of, I'm not hurting anybody. You're not hurting them directly, but not challenging yourself and not doing things that make you fulfilled have ripples in society. And all three of us probably wouldn't be here had there not been people who challenged themselves and did the things they had to do.
So
that's the problem.
My argument to that, so I don't dispute what you're saying. You're giving it shouldn't be that way. I don't disagree with you. Mm-hmm. It shouldn't be that way. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't mean it's not going to happen. So you're saying like, oh, utopia will never happen. I don't think that's true. I think we are on the pathway to that. The question is whether we're smart enough to understand it and be cognizant of what we're doing. Like every time something gets easier and easier and easier, more of society falls away. Like, do you think, like back in the day when we were hunter-gatherers and we had small villages, do you think you were able to be lazy? No, the tribe gets rid of you. Like, you don't continue on. Nowadays, lazy people and stuff like that can survive. So my argument is we are on the path to utopia. We just don't realize how far along we are. And the question is, how, like, if utopia is inevitable, how do we make sure that we move past utopia and how we make that work to where it's not a huge detriment?
I would say getting to utopia is you'd have to get past all those cultural boundaries. And then spread technology and first world living to like every country.
My argument isn't utopia's around the corner. My argument is we are on the path. Like, are we going to see utopia in my lifetime? No. But like maybe 500, 600 years, it could be a real possibility.
We would have to drop the idea of currency. Like, there's no way to have utopia. There couldn't be money.
You mean
because there has to be people.
You mean the thing that people are already kind of trying to chip away at? Like, you got to think that we are in the, like, I am not saying this is around the corner. You're like, oh, well, this isn't happening. This isn't happening. It's like, you're not looking at the micro things that are happening. We're arguing for basic universal income. We all understand that money's arbitrary. Like, we're all slowly starting to make these arguments. We're slowly trying to move to one currency. Well, how long till that currency doesn't matter? Like, we're in the infantile stages of it, progressing towards it. You get what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying you're wrong in the fact that you're like, it would take this, this, and this. My argument isn't, though, that's not what it would take. My argument is we're on that path. You got to look at the small incremental things that are happening, right? Like, most, like, your argument back in the day for utopia when it comes to, like, colonial days, well, we don't have the ability to communicate with all the countries and stuff like that. Well, now we have that. That's a small incremental game. You get what I'm saying? Like, I don't dispute what you're saying about, like, oh, well, we would need this to drop, this to drop, this to drop. Like, that's completely true, but I think you have to look at those incremental things. I say that we're moving in that direction. I'm not saying it's right around the corner.
Yeah.
I think
500-600 years.
No, I definitely
that
understand
might
what
be
you're
a
saying.
short timeline. I mean, it could be thousands,
It probably
but
is.
the path is somewhere.
Because you have to understand, like, the question is, whose utopia? Whose version of utopia? Because if some of these ideals stay for too long, if they linger and pass down, it's the powerful's utopia where everyone's a slave. Now, if we get to the ideal utopia, like you're saying, could happen in a few hundred, maybe a few thousand years, I think it would take a cataclysmic shift in culture. Because all these people, the top 20, because right now, the bottom 80% consume what the top 20% produces. That's just what it is. That's media, that's business. We can go down the rabbit hole. It would take a cataclysmic shift because all the people that no longer had to do jobs they didn't want to do, the people that are actually poets, the people that are like, man, if I didn't have to work this job every day, I would do a skit comedy show. I would just do it. And the people who are doing the TV shows that are like actually miserable would stop. So we would eventually, it would balance out to where like we still have music because people would still make music. We'd still have TV shows, people would still make TV shows. There would be such a cataclysmic shift though, because only the people who are builders by nature would build the houses. Only the people that are teachers by nature would be doing the teaching. No one that was like, this is just the degree I would get.
So my argument to that would be the progression in science, right? Every day we are trying to make machines and stuff like that, things to solve those problems that keep people from having to do those things. And the argument is, well, we'll build something to build that. Like, I don't dispute it, but there is going to be a point, at least in my mind, that I think that we'll get to a point where machines have taken over. Like, we don't need, like, you're like, oh, well, is it going to be the elites working, like, the elites utopia? Okay, well, the elites utopia could still lead to, okay, well, why do we need actual people? Machines are better. Why don't we just do machines? So, like, that would be my argument, is, like, eventually machines will come up and solve those problems for us.
Yes, and it would have to take the elites completely dying off and their ideas dying off as well, because it's just the attachment to money. That's all that is. It's the attachment to, we need modern day slaves to make us money, and the more money I have, the more powerful I am. That whole idea would have to die, which you already said. You're like, dude, this is years ahead.
So I think you think about money too much. Like, honestly, if you buy into the elites theory, you don't care about money. It's about who owns the resource. Like, when they're like,
okay,
oh,
and
like,
there's
what
supposed to be someone
like,
who's going to allocate those resources and be like, to create this utopia, everyone gets this much.
So I don't dispute that. But I'm saying, like, when he's saying, like, they care about money, I believe that if you believe in that theory of there being elites and stuff like that who are making all these decisions and stuff like that, they don't care about money. Like Devin's always said, it's not about money, it's about power. Okay, cool. If you realize that it's not about money, what's the most powerful thing? Having that resource. Now, money can facilitate that. But my thing is, eventually money would matter. So, like, I'm not disputing what you're saying in that argument of, like, well, it would take generations to break that away. They'd have to stop caring about money. That could still be a reality. Like, that's eventually going to happen. They're going to realize, because, like, we all know money's fake. All it is just me saying, hey, this is how much resource points I have. Give me this. Like, I've done this much work. This is how much resource I get. I give that in. Money is just a medium for that. At a certain point, that won't be needed because they'll be able to get all those basic needs taken care of. That you don't need currency anymore. Like, why wouldn't everything be free?
And I get that, but that doesn't defeat the point either way. I completely agree with you. We're stuck on the money, but controlling the resources is the same thing. They have to give up the idea that controlling the resource is important. They have to give up the idea that controlling labor is important. I completely understand that. The thing is with utopia, that the entire shift is that after that, we have to explore again. Because then everything's done.
So,
have y'all ever been a fan of The Sims? Y'all ever play the Sims games?
Okay, so hold on before you jump down this rabbit hole, because I believe
I
get where you're going with it, but like my side argument to what you say is like, well, I still bring up the machine idea. Like at the end of the day, would you rather buy a Roomba that vacuums your house or hire a maid? You'd rather have a Roomba because you don't have to worry about it talking back to you. Same thing. So that's my same idea of like with the elites. At a certain point, why would I care about people? Like, I don't need people to work for me if I just create machines that work for me and do all those things that I need.
I need people to buy the products.
But as you were saying, no reason for
anything. Well, that's the thing. It's going to go circular of like, well, I need their machines to make the money. I get it. So here's the thing. I am a fan of The Sims, and I just recently bought Sims 4 because I own stuff for $10. But I've always been a fan of the series because it's addicting to me, and it's funny to watch people play The Sims because it's how they think about their real life. My Sim, every playthrough, he lives in a plain house. He has a TV, a fridge, and a skill room, and a bed. The basic needs. I spend his time doing is skilling him up, meeting his basic needs, skilling him up, meeting his basic needs, and he gets promotion after promotion after promotion. But at a certain point, when I've maxed out every single skill, and you start getting traits, my Sim doesn't have to go to the bathroom. He never needs to shower. He doesn't need to socialize. He learns quick, day or night. He's insanely charming. Like he's almost the uber human. All he does is work on his skills when he's off work. There's a point in the game right now where I'm like, after I binged it for like 10 hours, I was like, what do? I have achieved everything. Money is pointless because I've written so many books in my playthrough that I make $4,000 a day off of royalties. Now I'm exploring. Now I'm socializing, and now I can just conquer different plots of land. This is what I think about society. If we were to meet a point, money did not matter, resources do not matter, I can pursue what I want to pursue, we would begin exploring space altogether. Because right now, there's people criticizing Elon for wanting to go to Mars. You know what I mean? It's like, well, there's too many problems here, or whatever the case may be. It's like that's where we would all in unison go of like, and then think about the colonizers before. They probably thought Europe was utopia. They're like, let's go conquer. You know what I mean? Let's go conquer. We found India and then conquer that. Like they thought that was utopia probably. So I think the same thing would happen to the planet.
Maybe.
That's a good point.
Either way, do you boys want to end on that note, or y'all have more y'all want to cover, or anything y'all feel we didn't flesh out? All right, where can they find us, Quentin?
Nobody Named Kevin podcast, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter.
All right. Thank you for listening. This has been Nobody Named Kevin podcast, episode 13.